Anyway, let's get into a
I
good
can
news
see
for
why.
my fantasy team. Last week I told you guys I was 0-8. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Wait, hold on.
Wait, are we clapping because you got your first win this week?
No,
Oh,
I'm 0-9. I got 170 points dropped on me from our boy Sean. But the best news that's happening is CMC, bitch ass, is finally back to practice and is set to make debut next Sunday against the Bucks.
And welcome back to another episode of your favorite couch potatoes. I am your host Jay Cubs, joined again by just Feisty this week. We're going to hold it down, and what better way than to get into some college football? Before we get to number one, I know you're excited about this, but let's talk about some news. I was excited to see this. The SEC commissioner came out and he said that there will be fines and suspensions on the table if there are faking injuries continue.
Yeah.
So you've been seeing a lot of those players go down if their team needs a timeout or needs a little more time to figure out the play or whatever it may be. I'm super happy to see this. It's kind of, I think it's a bullshit move. It's not real football, So love that at least one of the commissioners is cracking down on this.
I'm the other. Actually, I'm on the opposite side. I think that this is one of those not strategic, but also one of those things in football that just I'm like, if your team's trying to not waste so many timeouts, I'm okay with that. Like, if it was my team, I would want it to kind of happen for me. So I think it's
Of
like one of
course
those
you
things
would.
that if you don't, your team's not involved in it. Obviously, you're going to be against it, but if you're smart enough to do it, I think it's kind of stupid that they're going to be that strict about it and put fines and suspensions on it. I think that's a little excessive, in my opinion. But I'm not the commissioner, and just a loving Ducks guy, and so let's just see what happens with it. Hopefully, it doesn't turn out to be something that it's not necessarily a money maker, but a big issue for college football.
Ducks fan would hate this ruling. Good thing it's not in the SEC, I guess. But I think that you brought up something like where like they make it look so don't make it look so obvious, right? But that's the problem with so many of these this year. It's like you can see the quarterback be like, go down, go down, go down. And
Yeah.
then they'll just be standing up and fall down out of nowhere.
Ow.
And so like that stuff I think is like crazy. Now, if you actually like tried, I'm sure you can get around it because it's not like anybody can be like, oh, you're not injured or whatever. It's not like you can
Yeah.
say that. But when it's that obvious, that's why I think. But
Yeah,
of
I
course,
mean,
like
at that point, they need to have better acting classes because that's a little excessive. But like, if somebody is getting away with it because they're smart, you can figure out a way to get around it and do it. That's my thing. It's like ain't hurting
well,
nobody.
typical.
Players' health first, baby.
Typical Ducks fan. And you know what? Let's just get into the Cheater Bowl, I guess we'll call it, because Oregon played Michigan this last week, and they stay at number one, buddy. What are your thoughts on the game?
Great game overall. I think that we started out hot, and we never let down. I think that like there was a couple times when I was texting you, I was like, the defense needs to tighten up. But they end up winning the game 38-17. And I thought it was a really good game overall. Dylan Gabriel looked really good. Our receivers, Holden was back finally from his stupid situation where he spat on somebody when
He's
being
been
an
out that
idiot.
long?
Yeah, it was because he got a week suspension from it. They were
Oh,
disciplinarying him last week,
I didn't
and
hear about
so he
that.
came back and balled out. It was almost like, yeah, we missed Tess Johnson, but at the same time, it was kind of nice to have that really uh, good holdout from him. And then Yvonne Stewart, he just balled out. He had the I think second touchdown or maybe the first touchdown, and it was a sick catch. So I think
Mm-hmm.
overall the Ducks is looking like I texted you about this. They're improving every week, and that's the important thing. I don't get clipped because the Wolverines end up losing. So it's always a good day when that happens. And dude, Michigan is no longer Michigan, dog.
They are not. They are not the champions that they were last year. But yeah, this was a overall good game. I started watch it, and quickly was like, "Yep, I got other things to do. Oregon's going to run away with this." Well, Michigan did keep it close, there at the beginning, and I remember texting you're like, defense needs to tighten up, but I was like, honestly, there's a muff punt in there that you guys had at the beginning of the game that led to the Michigan's, I think, first quarter touchdown. So
Yeah.
that was the only reason really that they were close. You were like a couple plays away from really it being just a total domination. Might have been, 45 to 10 or something. Instead, it got 38-17 because ball bounced this way. But overall, great performance from the Ducks. They stay at number one. And, I know Michigan's not as good as they once were, but, it's still a tough place to go in and play a
Oh, it
team that
was a
you
big
really don't
house, yeah.
have, yeah, like
And
experience playing. So you
yeah.
got, like you said, you continue to get better and better every week. And the road to the Big Ten is, as long as you can continue to do that, because I think you guys are going to have to, right? You don't want to start slacking off. You don't want to get too comfortable. So a
Yeah.
win like this, it's pretty important for your
Well,
team.
and huge credit to Michigan. Like, so Derek texted me actually and said, "You know what? I hate to say it, but the Ducks look legit this year." And I was like, "Welcome to the board. We have one pass for you, and you can go ahead and hop on this wagon." Just joking. I didn't say that, but like it just shows that they've improved really well. And they continue to improve, and that's the most important thing. And Michigan actually, you know what? Give them credit. That quarterback came in after being benched apparently from the
Hmm.
2 weeks before or something like that, or the week before, and just kind of stuck it out and played really well. I thought he actually played pretty decent. Our defense was just really solid. We what's his name, Edwards, he got held to like basically no rushing. But overall, I think that it's just the nature of the Ducks just playing really well, good team ball together, and it seems like it's not gonna get any. It's gonna get better every year. Like it sounds like
Hmm.
2026, we already have like this is 2 years away, but we have four 5-star recruits that we've already signed.
Nice.
So like 2025 is even the same thing. So like I love what Dan. I've said this 100 times now, dude. Dan Lanning is the man, bro. I'm so glad that he didn't end up taking that Alabama job. He knew what he had at in
Hmm.
Oregon, and he knew what being Eugene and was like, and he's continued to stick it out, and now he's building an empire in a way.
Oh
He's
yeah.
trying to turn that program into a Alabama level program where when Nick Saban was there, nobody else messed with it, or So I'm really excited for it. I'm excited for the things he does. Let's say this year we don't even win at the national championship. I'm more than excited to see what's going on and what they're gonna do throughout the rest of the season.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think you guys are guaranteed pretty much at this point, unless something insane happened, like you lose to whatever you got next week. I know it was a cakewalk schedule, but
Yeah.
you got even if you lose the Big Ten, I definitely think you'll still be in playoff contention, and then you can see what you could do from there. But you guys still look like the favorites in my eyes as in the Big Ten. And like you said, I mean, everybody's always knew Oregon. Oregon's always been kind of on the map, but not in the way that they are now. So, congrats to your Ducks, and let's see if they keep on quacking, baby.
Well, and the big test is only Michigan that's left. We have Maryland, and then Michigan, or not Michigan, sorry, Wisconsin.
Hmm.
And they were talking about that one because we're at Wisconsin, and so man, like you said, let's just see if they keep quacking and continue doing what they're doing because we're looking really impressive, and I'm not mad about it.
Can't be mad about number one, that's for sure. All right, well, let's go to number two, which is Georgia staying put. They barely survived Florida. It was 34-20. I think that's barely surviving as far as Georgia standards. I think they were down for a good portion of this game. I didn't get to check out too much, but able to survive, get the win. Georgia's kind of been doing that this season. They barely beat Kentucky and everything. So interesting to see there. And then we get into the big matchup of the week, baby.
Yeah.
Ohio State, Penn State. So number three is Ohio State. They get the
The
big win in Happy Valley. So let's get into it. Starts out good for Penn State. They got a pick six in the first quarter and a field goal, so they start up 10-0 on Ohio State. But right after that, man, Ohio State just goes right down the field. Two consecutive easy touchdown drives. Also, like stopping Penn State, they couldn't do much. After that, offenses kind of slowed down a bit. There was a little more defensive gameplay, which was cool to see. It was a really good overall game, I think, for both teams. And then after this, Penn State, they got down, dude. I think they had first and goal from the 2 or 3 yard line,
Mm.
and Ohio State kept them out of the end zone on
Oh
four
yeah.
straight drives. To so huge stand because they won 20-13, and that could have been a game tying touchdown, and who
Yep.
knows what happens after that. So I think we were both kind of rooting for Penn State, and I know you wanted to see them, but it looks like because I think that there's not really going to be many big tests for the rest of the Big Ten. I mean, Ohio State's going to have Michigan at the end of the year, but
Yeah.
the way Michigan is now, so it looks like we're setting up for a Oregon and Ohio State rematch in the Big Ten.
Yeah, it's definitely unfortunate events for Penn State. I feel bad for Franklin,
Oh,
the
I'm
head
sorry.
coach.
Ohio State has Indiana,
Also,
the second to last week, so they got a big test
and
there.
Indiana's undefeated. We'll get to
Hmm.
that a little later, but yeah, I do feel bad for Penn State just because I think was their game to prove themselves with the big dogs.
Yep.
Oregon did it with against Ohio State, regardless of how they won it or not. It proved for them that they belong with the big dogs, and so Penn State coming short, kind of just now you look at it as are they ready for that big stage? So you just hope that Ohio State makes another somehow loss because I think that they're going to end up getting in for that
Hmm.
rematch against Oregon. But I really didn't see a whole lot in this game except that last stop on the goal line. Penn State just couldn't literally penetrate the wall. So,
Yeah.
but we'll have to see what ends up happening. Maybe Michigan may turn things around all of a sudden, and it's a rivalry game. Rivalry games mean more. So that means that they could turn around and Ohio State could lose and Penn State could make their way in. Like I said, and also Indiana's undefeated. Like we'll get to that a little bit, and
Right.
they might have a chance as well too. So, unfortunate event for Penn State this week.
Yeah, it's tough, and that's Penn State. It's pretty much they go undefeated, except for they lose to Ohio State and Michigan usually.
Hmm.
And yeah, so they take the loss to Ohio State, and it was a big game, because the thing is Penn State, James Franklin, their head coach, I think he's 1-12
Yeah,
versus Ohio State in his
I
career,
see
but
that.
then Ryan Day on the other side is I think 1-5 or 1-4 against top five teams in his career. So like both, it was a big statement game for both those programs.
Yeah,
Not the end of the world for Penn State. I think that they still have a really good shot to make the college football playoff. They just can't slip up the rest of the season, and I don't know that they will. They got Washington. They'll be at Purdue, at Minnesota, and then finish the season versus Maryland. So I could see them winning all four of those games. But
yeah.
yeah, huge game for the Big Ten. So we'll see. We'll see what the rematch gives us for the Big Ten championship. Because I don't see any other way that it will be any other team. So I'm excited to see that.
Yeah.
And then cracking up one more spot, baby, is your Miami Hurricanes after they beat Duke 53-31, and they were actually trailing at the end of the first half, which was surprising to see. But then, boom, dude, they just turned it right the fuck on and did what Miami's been doing. Cam Ward, does what he's been doing, throws 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. Like, geez, dude, talk about. I know Dylan Gabriel's up there, but maybe Cam Ward's starting to sneak his way up
Well,
that
they
Heisman Bowl.
actually mentioned that this week. They were saying how um, Cam Ward looks like he might be the favorite now.
Yeah.
Like Jen, obviously, would Genti, like you said, should win it.
Hmm.
But Cam Ward's balling out, dude, and I actually have respect for this team. My joke every week, you like Mario Cristobal didn't go visit his grandma. Boy, Miami got lucky because that's a great coach, man. I always believed in Mario Cristobal, even though I have had my hate for him a little bit. not necessarily hate, but just kind of like I
Ill
don't know.
feelings. I mean, it
Yeah,
was
my feelings
definitely
for
not
him.
the
Yeah,
way you wanted to, end his tenure, but
yeah, no,
maybe it ended up
100%.
being better for both of you because I think Dan Lanning is a better coach, I'll say, but at least better for Oregon. He fits that culture better, that style, and
Yeah,
obviously Mario Cristobal's getting it figured out with Miami.
he's doing a great job with that program, and he's definitely thriving, letting Cam Ward thrive under his freaking offense. Because man, there's no stopping that team, and so I'm excited to see what this like top 12 kind of
Mhm.
ranking kind of goes now with the playoffs. I'm really excited for it because we could have some great matchups
We really can.
after the obviously the conference championships and stuff. So
Yeah, I'm excited, and that's actually a good point. I think that the first playoff rankings will come out tomorrow as we record this podcast. It'll be Tuesday of this week, which will be the more like important one, the ones that we'll really look at. Usually they're pretty similar, but you'll have some differences. So we'll go
yeah,
off the AP poll this week. I think we'll try to switch to the college football rankings after that. But yeah, I can't wait, dude. I'm so glad that they made it a 12 team thing
too.
now.
Me
There
too.
should have been four
Huge.
was just stupid. I think you have so many good teams, but like I mean, because like we said, that was the top four right there. But then we got Texas at number five,
Yeah,
and they go up one spot. They had a bye week this week, so but not seeing Texas in there could be a huge deal. But then we'll go to number six, which is Penn State. So they dropped 3 spots after that loss. And then number seven is the Tennessee Volunteers, even though they don't volunteer tickets, they charge an extra 10%.
yeah, baby.
uh,
Yeah, baby.
they stay put there after defeating Kentucky 28-18.
Tennessee keeps rolling. It sounds like they are just trying to get that 10% increase on their tickets to come back to them, and so I like it. I am kind of surprised that Penn State dropped three, though. To be honest with you, just because it was a good game and it was two ranked teams.
Mm-hmm.
I thought maybe they would have dropped one or two, but I think that's what happened with that was an unranked team when Oregon dropped three. So I sometimes I'm a little confused with it. It seems like even though Georgia didn't play them, or not Georgia,
Texas.
even though Texas didn't play, I think that they probably should have stayed at six. But
Yeah,
that's
I can
me
see it. And
personal
definitely Ohio
opinions.
State's going to pass them, right? And I think
Yeah,
Miami's done enough to pass them as
yeah,
well. And then
100%.
you got to say Texas. I think they got the one loss, right? So
Yeah,
yeah, I could see either way.
back
I
and
think
forth on
Texas has
it.
shown like a little more explosion and that they might be the better team, but
Yeah,
I also see your point. When you don't play, it's kind of tough to really decide. But
yep.
let's move on. Indiana finally getting some respect, dude. I've been talking about it all year, and I'm not sure why they made such a big jump this week, but didn't make a jump last week. But Indiana up 5 spots to number 8 after beating Michigan State 47-10. But unfortunately, they did trail in the game for the first time this season. I know that's got to be tough to hear for Indiana fans. No, I mean, after this season, it's crazy. And that's just crazy to say. The first time you're trailing in a season was week 9 or week 10 or whatever it was. So
Yeah,
crazy. And yeah, they're kind of like, I don't know, they're kind of like the dark horse I'm rooting for, in this playoffs just to see. I love Kurt Signetti, their head coach, and just, to see a program that has been dog shit for so long. Not never been a football school, always a basketball school, so it's awesome to see them do that. Then we'll move to number 9, which is BYU. They stay put in a bye week. Notre Dame goes up 2 in a bye week. Alabama goes up 3 in a bye week. Don't really
that makes
don't
sense to
really
me.
get that there. I know that there's we'll talk about a couple of teams that dropped, but well, I guess maybe that's kind of why. But looking at it more, but still kind of crazy jump for a bye week. And then let's get into Boise State up to number 12, dude. They
Sheesh.
killed San Diego State 56-24. And like you mentioned earlier, our boy Ashton Genty, another sort of quiet game. It's crazy when you read off this stat line and it's like, wow, that's not that much from Genty, but for anybody else, you'd love to see it.
Yeah,
31
stellar
carries,
game.
149 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So
That's it.
obviously, yeah, that's it, dude. Come on,
That's it.
we got to figure it out. Let's see What's his total up to now? He has got 1,525 yards on the season, 20 touchdowns. So be interesting to see what he finishes off with. I think another thing to mention is their quarterback playing well. Maddox Madison, he goes 24 for 32 for 307 and 4 tuds. So that team is like looking a little more complete. Obviously, Ashton Genty is their main guy, but looks like they got a real good squad. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I would love to see this squad go against some of the big schools. I know that they haven't really been facing a lot of big up. Obviously, yeah, they did face Oregon, but I would like to see them play like bigger schools and see what they can do against them. I would like to see them get into that top 10. I think that would be really cool, but I don't know how they would do that when Alabama's getting a +3 after being on a
Right.
bye week. So, but
And they don't have much to like
back.
very hard strength of schedule left. They got Nevada, San Jose State, Wyoming, I guess Oregon State, their last game. That might be kind of their prove it, but still, they're not the
Yeah,
Oregon
and
State
Oregon
that
State's
they've
not.
been.
Yeah, they're struggling as well too. So it's unfortunate, but I think as they continue to keep winning, and it says Ashton Genty kind of keeps bringing light to their program, I think that they're going to continue to. How can you not give some kind of point system to them if we're bringing more attention to the sport, right? Bringing
Yeah.
more money in a way for um freaking greedy NCAA. So it yeah, I'll have to see what ends up happening for the season. If they make it into the top 10 and they make right now they would be in the playoff ranking, right? So,
Yeah, I don't know why I like didn't know this, but so they are a Power Five conference, so they will get an
yeah,
automatic
automatically,
bid,
yeah.
but they'll most likely will assume, unless something happens to BYU now, we'll assume that they'll be the fifth ranked of the five power conferences. So then they won't get a bye, but they'll get an automatic bid. So I don't know if that makes them like the fifth seed or whatever. Or I don't know.
Huh.
I'm not sure how that works, but they'll get a
Yeah.
bid. Or is it just wherever they're ranked in the top 12?
I bet that it's just wherever they're ranked in the
That
top
makes
12.
sense.
Well, maybe we'll have to do a little bit digging on that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move along. Big surprise. SMU. I'm not sure a lot of people saw this coming, especially after Pitt's undefeated season, but SMU up 7 spots up to number 13 after beating Pitt 48-25.
Yeah.
So huge win for that program. Number 14 is LSU. They jump up 2 spots on a bye week. And then number 15 dropping 5 spots after we were just singing their praises and everything last week, man. Texas A&M. Oof, upset by South Carolina 44-20 for their
Eesh.
first conference loss. So
Eesh.
just when we thought we were getting a little more or when we couldn't get any more craziness in the SEC, something like this happens. So we'll have to see who ends up coming out of there. But then we'll go on to number 16, which is Ole Miss. They go up 3 spots after crushing Arkansas 63-31. And Mr. Jackson Dart went off in this game. He
Wow.
goes for 515 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 5 of them went to wide receiver Jordan Watkins. So huge day for those
You
guys.
think he has a favorite target?
He might have some good chemistry with that guy. Maybe just a little. Oh man. And then another upset this week was Iowa State dropping
Eesh.
down 6 spots after being upset by Texas Tech 23-22 on a 71-yard drive in less than 2 minutes at the end of the game to get the lead and upset Iowa State, dude. So it's really too bad Wes has missed these past couple weeks because even on a bye week for BYU, man, they still find a way to win because that was their main competition in the Big 12 now. So really, I think they just control their destiny. And if BYU wins out, I think you're definitely in the Big 12 for sure, and see who they'd play. But you're looking at a playoff bid for BYU after the preseason expectations, like we said, not only just from this program, but from everybody.
Well, and the thing that's here we go again, right? I'm gonna get on my high horse, but like for them to drop 6 spots when there's a lot of teams that were on a
Bye weeks.
bye weeks, it's just kind of to me a little crazy, man. I get it that that's a unranked team, and it was a close game. Like, not like they got blown out, but like to drop
Mm-hmm.
6, especially to have the season they were having, I it just to me is a little bit much, a little excessive, but just me on my high horse, feeling it up.
Right. Well,
So
let's move along. Army is up 3 spots. They beat Air Force 20-3 to remain undefeated this season. And then we got another big drop. Clemson dropping 8 spots after losing to unranked ACC rival Louisville 33-21. And we have yet another showing of fans throwing trash, water bottles, and shit onto the field, man. I don't get why this is like a thing. I feel like, especially this season, it's classless and stupid and not good for the game, not safe for the players and workers and everybody that's down on the field. So hate to see that, but as far as the ACC, man, gets a little more clear, and Miami is definitely the runaway favorite now. I
the
think Clemson
dogs,
was the second closest, so
yeah,
be interesting to see how that ACC turns out, if anybody can really even compete with Miami, because now SMU is in second place in that conference. So interesting to see there. And then we got Washington State. They go up 2 after a bye week. Colorado up 2 after a bye week, who's
ooh,
now
ooh,
up
ooh,
there in the
ooh,
Big
ooh.
10 or Big 12. So we can possibly look at maybe Colorado making the college football playoffs if they're able to upset maybe BYU if they're able to get there in the Big 12. Because we got another upset in the Big 12, Kansas State. They lose to Houston and drop 5 spots to number 22. So maybe Houston's a good program.
They're
Okay.
cooking it
Maybe it's
right
not
now.
embarrassing to lose to them. Okay. And then we got Pitt, who drops down. They drop down to 23 after that blowout we talked about with SMU. And then we have Vanderbilt back in the rankings to 24
Ooh,
after I
ooh.
think a week or two off. They defeated Auburn 17-7, and then Louisville was ranked 25 after beating Clemson, like we talked about, 33-21. So that is our top 25. We love to talk some shit on USC. So why don't we talk some more? They lost another game by one possession. I guess they've lost, I think, all of their games, or 4 out of 5 of their games are one possession losses. And I wanted to see what you thought about this. Head coach Lincoln Riley, he says that he believes the team is more than capable because we're not getting our ass kicked. It's not like we're getting our ass kicked. They're in these games, they're close. So 4-5 for USC, not the Big 10 showing they wanted to start out with, but yeah, what do you think
Hey,
about that?
you know who says a quote like that?
Hmm.
A loser.
Yeah. Loser.
I meant to. Anyways, I meant to change it to the what because Lincoln Riley, man, he got paid so much money. I remember when we first talked about it. I was like, "Did you see his mansion is worth 32 million?" I remember just kind of talking about it with you guys.
Mhm.
But we love to see USC just continue to fail, and Lincoln Riley being a loser, obviously says, "Oh, we're not getting our yeah, bro. A loss is a loss, dog. If you're
Yeah,
not winning, you're losing."
you
So
gotta. That's not the kind of attitude you want from a head coach. The winning head coaches, winning programs, they don't make excuses like that.
yep,
A loss is a
yep,
loss. If you lose by 1 point or 20, that
yep,
it's a loss, and you got to do better. So,
hundred
yeah,
percent.
that's USC football, baby. That's Lincoln Riley football.
Excuses, excuses, excuses. No person to blame. That. Oh wait, I know a team like that. We'll get to it a little bit later,
Oh,
but
hey, I love it. A little foreshadowing. Oh man. Well, the Utes didn't disappoint me for the first time in a month. We did not lose to the bye week this week, but boy, here we go. Holy War this Saturday. I'll be there. Wesley said he will make it to the tailgate. And of course, now that they're 9-0 and kicking ass, he wants to show his face up at the tailgate.
yeah,
But nah, I'm like I said, still excited, nervous. Hopefully, we can pull off the funniest thing of the Big 12 season and call it a success. But yeah, other than that, that's a recap of college football. It's kind of a slower week. We only had that, I feel like, real big game was Ohio State and Penn State. So
yeah.
looking forward to next week. Hopefully we get a little more excitement, and we'll we'll see what happens, man. Hopefully, I'm a happy camper, and Wes on his return to the program is
You
not
guys
as
make a
happy.
bet yet?
Oh, I don't know if
Oh,
I'm
we need to get a
confident.
bet going.
I'm not.
No,
I'm
no,
not. I
no,
ain't
no,
making no
no.
bet like you did.
No,
I ain't
no, no.
making
We
no
need to
bet
get a
like
bet going, bro. I think you guys need to swap jerseys if
no, 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 no,
I
no, no.
think so. I think our
Mm-mm.
viewers
The
will have to
thing
do a
is,
poll.
we could do a poll, but the
We'll have
thing
to do a
is
poll.
that both the Steelers and the Cowboys had a legit shot to win this game. Okay,
Okay.
if we had a legit shot,
Nah, bro, play see?
oh
Have faith, man. Have faith.
yeah,
Come
well,
on.
that's kind of their thing, not our thing.
We'll
But
do a poll. I think this would be interesting. They want to
I'm not
see.
wearing BYU blue. I promise you that.
You're gonna have to paint your face blue then. At least you'll
We
be
can maybe
sad.
figure
So,
out something. I will be sad. Maybe we can figure out something. Not wearing
alrighty.
BYU though. That would I think I'd be excommunicated from my Utes tailgate if I did that.
I'd
So
love to see it, baby.
all right. Well, let's take a quick break and then let's get into the NFL on the other side.
What?
And welcome back to your favorite couch potatoes, the NFL section. Let's just get into it. I know we kind of talked about it last week. We recorded during Monday Night Football, Steelers Giants, and Steelers keep on rolling, dude. Even though it was just the Giants, they get the win, 26-18. Russell Wilson continues to play well, dude, and gosh, why am I blanking on Mike Tomlin? I almost
Tomlin.
said Michael Thomas.
And
Looks like a genius. Definitely Michael Thomas, not a genius. But anyways,
on the nose
um,
too.
Russell Wilson, man, he does look good, and George Pickens looks good. It's definitely. I was talking a little bit to Wesley last night. We got to watch a little bit of the games, and like that's just a quarterback that George Pickens needs. I think he's mentioned where Kenny Pickett would try to get it down the field, but obviously wasn't as good of a quarterback, not as accurate. And when Justin Fields was in there, they weren't really pushing the ball down the field, right? It was play
Right.
action, make the right throw, don't put it in harm's way. Russell Wilson he's not, he's not afraid. And I don't think that's like a knock on Justin Fields. It's just different styles, and he's a lot more, experienced. So
100%.
yeah, and they get it from defense, offense, whole team. Calvin Austin the third on special teams. He housed a 73-yard punt return. And Daniel Jones continues to be Daniel Jones, dude, throwing a lot of picks.
Uh,
And then they had shades of Colts versus Patriots when they tried to do that weird. I don't know if you remember it, but it was like a
the
punt
two
where there was
point.
only two guys
Yeah.
there, and yeah, there was like they had what 5 or 6 guys lined up, 5 or 6 like linemen lined up on the left side, so not on the line like a typical formation, and somehow none of them guard the one
Block.
guy that
Yeah.
comes through, and he gets they fail on that, and yeah. So overall, good game for the Steelers. They can keep on rolling. They had a bye week this week, but then yeah, overall good game. The only other thing I wanted to note was George Pickens doing his. I don't know if you saw this. His arcade. It's so random, dude. Like the dude was already done, and he just jumps up and just put an RKO on the dude. It's just hilarious, man. But yeah, great game for the Steelers. Giants, not so much. I think it's going to be a whole new rebuild. I wouldn't be surprised if we'll get into it a little bit later because of the games the Eagles had, and like we talked about with Saquon, I could genuinely see
Because
head coach, quarterback, GM all gone
yeah,
after this season,
I
dude.
agree. I agree 100%, dude. Like Daniel Dimes is not Daniel Dimes. He's not dropping dimes. He's worth a dime, but he's not dropping a dime. That's for sure. So, great game for the Steelers, like you said. It just showed that they're continuing to roll with Russell Wilson, and he continues to play really well for them. And that RKO move was freaking hilarious. Kind of got me a little bit excited, but that 2 point conversion too, that was something. Did you I don't know if you watched the Manning one, the Manning brothers, they had
Oh no, what
quite a
did
bit
they
of
have to
people on
say?
there, and they asked Nick Saban, "Would you ever play that?" Like Derek was telling me about this. He's like, "Yeah." They asked him. He's like, would you ever run a play like that?" He's like, "No, never. I don't know what the hell they were doing." So that was like the weirdest play. That guy should have just picked it off and took it to the house. Like
Literally.
Giants would do something like that, and I totally agree. I could see them hitting the reset button and everybody gone. So
That kind of season for the Giants, and on the other side, man, Steelers are killing it. I think that they were, because with that loss to the Browns that the Ravens had, they might have been in the lead for the AFC North, but now that the Ravens probably have one more win than them, so they've overtook them. But
second place,
no,
yeah.
actually, never mind. It's 6-2 for Pittsburgh and 6-3 for Baltimore. So they're still the top of the AFC North, and I feel like, I think we said it with Wesley. Like, nobody really talks about the Steelers. They're Everybody's kind of like, Ravens are going to the Super Bowl, going to the AFC Championship. Steelers are still in first place right now.
Hey, good coaches make it happen no matter what is going on around them. So I'm excited for the Steelers season to see what they end up doing because it's not looking good for, and especially the Ravens. I think the Ravens are, in my opinion, a better team, but at the same time, I
Hmm.
think that they both play different style of football, and so
Better
what they,
offensive team, but Steelers
yeah,
definitely better defensively.
yep,
So
100%.
they haven't
So
played yet. I'm excited for that matchup. That'll be fun.
the Ravens played the Cowgirls too. Actually, I think
Hmm.
yes, I'm calling them the Cowgirls now. And
Didn't they already play?
oh yeah, sorry, I don't know why I said that they're gonna
I
be
was
playing
like,
them.
what?
Anyway, I'm lost. Anyway, let's get into a
I
good
can
news
see
for
why.
my fantasy team. Last week I told you guys I was 0-8. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Wait, hold on.
Wait, are we clapping because you got your first win this week?
No,
Oh,
I'm 0-9. I got 170 points dropped on me from our boy Sean. But the best news that's happening is CMC, his bitch ass, is finally back to practice and is set to make debut next Sunday against the Bucks, baby.
back in the States, huh?
Ooh,
Not
let's
in
go,
Germany no
baby. No
more.
more Germany trips. We're getting ready for him to get going. And I'm hoping that as soon as he gets in, that he does not get hurt right away because he hasn't touched a football or been active in oh yeah, 0-9.
9 weeks. Hey, you mentioned Sean. He wanted to call your ass out because I had told him we were talking about it, and because I asked if this was your first time going to the losers bracket, you were in there last year, bud. You beat him
Was
by
I
like point something points, like 0.03 or something like that, is what he said. Like you
last
barely
year?
beat him, I think, for seventh place in the losers
Maybe
bracket.
I was. I don't know. I don't remember. I win so much, so it's
Definitely
just
not
hard
this
for me to get
bad.
into losers bracket often. So hey, you know what? Can't win them all. Literally, I'm zero
Or
and nine.
any of them. No, this is good though. Definitely for the Niners. They've been hurting a lot, and not just running back, but overall on their injuries. So it's awesome for them to get him back. And in that NFC West, that's wide open right now. I think every team is basically like 4-4 or four
Yeah.
and three or something. So that'll be huge for them to get back, and hopefully they start to dominate, start to run away with that division like everybody expects,
Well,
or
yeah.
expected at the beginning of the season at
Yeah,
least.
you definitely thought that the 49ers were going to run with that division. So, and it's looking like it's not that case. So, um, let's move on to our weekly, actually. Let's move on to our weekly Ashwagandha
Oh boy.
Alaska episode. This session is brought to you by Ashwagandha. Ask Aaron Rodgers what it is and what it does for you because you make peace with the darkness.
Yeah.
But let's get into it. Texas against the Jets. The best team in Dallas
Hmm.
did not look like the best team in Dallas
That was
or
tough.
Texas.
No. Well,
They
yeah, still. Definitely
definitely
not as good as they looked, but they're by far the best team in Dallas, Texas, and everything anywhere close to that. So.
no, it's
But they did not
definitely
look good.
true. I mean, it doesn't help. I saw a thing actually. So obviously, Stephon Diggs out for the rest of the season with the torn
That's
ACL. The
that's just
biggest, like
tough.
a big
Yeah.
loss for them, right? Like that's your number one guy. That's your big target. You already have obviously Nico Collins still out for another week or two.
Yep.
So he only had Tank Dell, which I think he had 120 plus yards in
Mm-hmm.
receiving.
6
So
receptions, 126 yards. He was their only receiving threat, I think,
yeah,
for the Texans for sure.
super slow game, right? And it just kind of never looked like it was gonna pick
Oh
up for
man,
them. The
that
just
first half was boring,
ring.
dude. Holy crap. That was tough to watch. I'm like, how are the I don't know, like the books know something we don't know, man, because I know you picked the Texans and everybody's sitting here like, how in the world are the Texans underdogs to the Jets right now? But yeah, they clearly I think that loss of Stephon Diggs and with like you said, Nico Collins still being out showed to prove to be really tough, for the Texans to get anything going
Right.
offensively.
And it just doesn't help when you're hurting offensively and your defense is not very good. So then your offense was the one that was carrying you. So you would have to put up so many points
Hmm.
to outscore teams. And now that, like I saw a meme, it said Bryce Young,
Oh yeah.
and it said it's not so easy to play your best
Oh
game when you don't have
yeah.
receivers or all line to play for you, right?
I did see that
It
because
was
that's
freaking
another thing
funny.
that's not been talked about a lot this season. The offensive line for the Texans is struggling big time,
Trash too.
and they really shouldn't be. Like they got big names. I know they got Shaq Mason there. I'm blanking on the left tackle's name, but I know he's been a like premier tackle in the league, and they got a
Right.
good line. They paid a lot for that line, but it's not performing, especially not in the pass game.
Well, they're not protecting him, and he's stayed more in the pocket this year. I feel like, and so it just did not look really too good for the Texans, but it looked great for the Jets, right? Like, let's talk about Gary Wilson's Michael Jordan impression
Oh
catch.
my god,
Holy crap, my guy!
that was nuts. He literally hit the Jordan logo, dude. Like that's pretty crazy. And he's going off, man. Like I said, this guy he has
Best thing.
definitely been the one that's benefited the most
Yep,
from the
best
Devontae
thing
Adams
could
trade,
happen.
even more
Yeah.
than Devontae Adams himself. Although he kind of had his breakout game, he had a touchdown, 7 receptions, 91 yards, but 2 touchdowns for Garrett Wilson, 90 yards for him, and I did want to talk about because his other touchdown boy, I don't know what the fuck a catch is anymore because we talked about it. I think it was week 2
Oh, with
when
the Patriots
yeah,
game.
with the Patriots where we had the 2 feet down, but the heel touched out of bounds, and if the heel touches out of bounds, not a touchdown. Even though toe taps are a touchdown when you get two
Yeah.
toes down, but then you can't tap the same foot twice. And now with Garrett Wilson's other touchdown catch, which was also very impressive, but I don't think it should have been, especially if the Patriots one wasn't, because his shin touchdown before his knee apparently was what the rule said, or
Yeah.
the official said. What are you talking? The knee is. I'm pretty sure the knee bone connected to leg bone, shin bone. I don't know how that happens. How you can possibly do it, and I didn't. So I, what the hell is happening in a season that I feel like the officials have been pretty good overall? What the hell is happening lately? And like, no, I think there's no way that was a touchdown in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it's the inconsistency that kind of drives me nuts. If you're gonna call it one way, continue to call it the whole season that way, and then relook at it right at the off season. So I, I just don't understand what the big point of like trying to make certain games, be the decision. I like we said, refs should not be the part of the
Deciding the game. Yep.
designing the game. And so if that would have been called back, things could have been looked a little bit different. Maybe I don't know because they were still struggling. But at the end of the day, it's like Texas couldn't get anything going, and
No,
they seem to be just
never.
stalling right now and struggling big time. And you see freaking Aaron Rodgers. Oh my gosh.
Dude, I've never seen this in my life. I mean,
Oh
they're
my
the
gosh.
yeah, the Jets win 21-13, right? And I'd never seen a Super Bowl winning quarterback so excited to go 3-6. Like Bro, it's good. You definitely needed a win. It's nice to get off a, 5-game skid or whatever that they were on, but bro, chill the hell out. Like you got a long way to go. You guys need to win the Super Bowl. Like those are literally your expectations. Why else did they bring Aaron Rodgers in, right? So,
Yeah. Why
not
why are
not
they
to get
keep
that
bringing
excited about
well, and then why are
freaking
they keep bringing more of Aaron Rodgers' weapons? Because they
mhm.
believe whatever Aaron Rodgers says goes. Like if he wants the whole Green Bay, if they want to switch Green Bay jerseys, they'll do it, right? Like it's just Aaron
Right.
Rodgers' show, and he's continued to run it. And a big upside on this too is Mixon. Actually, I forgot to mention that Mixon
Mhm.
balled out again, another 100 plus yards game, and so the Texans are slowing down. The Jets are acting like they just won the Super Bowl. So congrats to
Literally.
the Jets, man. Jet
There
Jets
you
or
go.
whatever.
Got a Thursday
Ashwagandha
night
crap.
football win off a team that was decimated by injuries and
Yeah, way to
on
win
a
that.
short week. Yeah, good job. No, yeah, but like you said though, Mixon, he's the first of many we'll get into, but look at all these running backs that got, cast away by their former teams that are
Yep,
balling the hell out right now. And he's one of, if not really one of the best, you could say the best of those guys, but everybody's just having such a stellar season that it's hard to say. But yeah, dude, it's good for them. They still got the running game going. CJ Stroud, he did struggle 11 for 30 for 191
last
yards. No
few games.
touchdowns, no picks, but he's been like you said, pressured constantly. 8 sacks in this game, bro. Like, dude could not breathe for this
Hassan
game.
Reddick was
So
destroying that O line, so I can
Quentin
kind of see why
Williams
the
too.
owner was begging him to come back. I didn't
Right.
like that. Did is insane. So it just yeah, Texans are stalling, man, and they need to figure out something quick before they also end up having a sellout season.
I think they will too. And Nico Collins coming back is going to be huge. I think that's just going to help Tank Dell. Nico, I think even with Stephon Diggs, still when they all three of them were there, I still say Nico is the best receiver. I mean,
Yeah,
he's younger, he's in his prime. Stephon a little bit past, but overall receiver, I feel like Nico is their best. So it'll be huge to get him back, and hopefully the offensive line can kind
for
of figure
sure.
things out. Well, let's move on to the NFC North battle, the America's Game of the Week, which continues its streak of not really being a good game. They should be good games, but they were not. Lions versus Packers. So I think winner of this was going to be in first place in the division. And man, it was a downpour for this game. Like it was raining hard the entire game, pretty much that whole day up there in Lambeau. But Lions find a way, man. They end up crushing it, and in a different way than they have been. They've been scoring 35, 40 points a game. But this one, 24-14, and really it was like 24-3 most of that game. They kind of scored a little bit there towards the end in garbage time, that being the Packers. But yeah,
Yeah,
they find a way to win. A lot of people were saying, that the Lions might not win this game because it was their first outdoor game of the season. But yeah, they looked more comfortable than Green Bay did and end up killing it, man, in different ways. I mean, the running game obviously was huge, but their defense was really what won the
stood
game
up.
for them, I
Yeah,
feel like. So awesome to see for the Lions. They're definitely the team that I'm, like rooting for to win the Super Bowl, unless the Patriots make a run, we never know. Uh, but yeah, dude,
hey,
it was
hey,
awesome to
you
see for them.
you can hope in one hand, the other. See which one fills up faster, bud. I don't know about that Super Bowl odds for you guys. It's just as good as those cowgirls.
But I don't know who has better odds probably than the Lions right now because they are
Yeah.
freaking killing it. So
No, I mean you kind of see what Dan Campbell has done to this. I've said it over and over again. This franchise, he's continued to make them work, and everybody seems to fit in that system and buy in that it's a team thing. Jared Goff, man, he is balling out. He doesn't want MVP. I don't know who deserves it more. Maybe
well,
King
I
Henry,
I
but
wonder too because like I think he didn't have that big of a game
well, he
where
doesn't need to.
exactly right.
They're playing so well, and he's throwing like maybe 18, 24 attempts, and he's
Yep,
completing like at least, if not two
90,
thirds of them, like, yeah,
85%.
yeah, a hundred, like super accurate, and they're just doing it as a team. So it's like if they want to throw, they're gonna throw and beat you. If they want to run the ball, they have two running backs that will do that to you. If
Oh
they want
yeah.
to play defensively, they'll play defensively like they just did. And so if they're just buying in on the system, and I think Jared Goff, deserves this. If not, like I said, like King Henry, but
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, sometimes people don't look at things as stats. MVP is the most valuable player in on a team, right? And the most
Yep.
valuable player in the league. And so Jared Goff is doing it. And I think if he continues to ball out like this whole team is, I think he deserves it. And it's gonna come down to one of those things where it's at the end of the season, how well can they finish the rest of the season? And what does it look like for them? Because I don't think it's really easy for them. So I'm a big fan of the Lions too. I think I love the underdog story. I would love to see them at in the Super Bowl and win it all.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think it's going to be a tough road for them to kind of continue to go through. But they seem to be pulling it in all stops. So
They really do, man. Doesn't seem like they're slowing down at all. And yeah, they are now 7-1 and just running away with things. So all right, let's get into the next game. And man, oh, what a good day it was for me, man. I know I've been sending memes to you and just about all of our friends. Boy, Panthers Saints. And I said before this game, and it was kind of surprising for me to even say this, but boy, did I hope Derek Carr came back for them because like we had talked about, it has been looking very rough without him.
terrible.
Yeah, and I think he was out for 3 weeks, and obviously lost all three of those games, and then they lost three more before that. He did return for this game, but the Panthers beat the Saints 23-22, and Bryce Young did start this game. Andy Dalton was healthy. They rolled with Bryce. He gets the win. But
Wait,
yeah, let's. Yep,
what?
you heard that right.
Wait, say that one more time. Actually,
Bryce Young gets the win and starts despite Andy Dalton being healthy.
wow.
Oh man, rough go of it for Saints fans, man. Especially you started those first two games, 45 points per game or whatever it was. You were just 2-0, blowing teams out, and you look like you weren't going to stop. And now here we are sitting at 2-7. And boy, yeah, the Derek Carr slander, everybody was on my side this week. And, yep, I got to have fun about it. He just did not look good at all, man. And I think the biggest thing is that he's putting his receivers in terrible, terrible positions.
Yeah,
And in all seriousness, this was not good to see. But the problem is that I do blame it all on Derek Carr. Like, you should not have thrown that, put Chris Olave in this position. But he got hit super hard and got a concussion and had to be stretchered off the field. He was not moving. Very serious scene, and was taken straight to the hospital. Good news is he has been released. So out of the hospital, I would expect him to miss some time. He has already had, I think, two concussions. This was his second concussion of the season. So hopefully, he recovers well, and we wish the best for him. Of course, we've already talked about this with Tua, right? Where
yeah,
these it gets serious, and when you
adds
get
up.
more and more, it gets worse and worse. So prayers
Yeah,
out to him. But one more thing to note, kind of the big news for Saints fans. I know they were really excited to hear these words finally. Saints fire head coach Dennis Allen after they dropped their seventh straight loss. I mean, I can't. He's been there what 3 or 4 years now since Sean Payton left, and
left. Yeah,
I think, like, in talking to Hunter, if I remember correctly, our friend that's a Saints fan, he I think this year he was finally like, all right, if nothing happens, like if he starts to suck again, then all right, we're done with him. But I just never saw anything from Dennis Allen that showed that they're going to be a better
why?
team,
Yeah,
and he's going to bring that team around. And I think they're projected 80 million over the cap next year. And yeah, nothing really looking bright for these Saints fans. Not your rookie quarterback. He didn't show anything. Derek Carr obviously is ass. And yeah, not good for Saints fans, man. 2-7. And now, right now, as they sit second place, the number 2 pick for next season. So, boy, tough scene down there in New Orleans.
Take a quarterback. Take a quarterback. That's what
You
you're
think
cheering
Shador
on.
Sanders maybe, or
Woo!
Ewers, Cam Ward down there in New
Somebody.
Orleans?
Anybody then.
Anybody but Derek Carr.
I knew it was coming, baby. I mean, looking like that blowout from they gave to the Cowboys is not so much of a big
Ooh.
impressive. If I say so myself. I mean, the yeah, there's not really a whole lot to say when you lose to the Panthers. That's it. That's literally it. You lost to the Panthers.
You're definitely going to lose your job after that, too. So, I
Oh
did see
man.
Darren Rizzi was named their interim head coach. I'm not sure what he was coaching before. I assume one of the coordinator positions, but yeah, dog shit dumpster fire franchise. And speaking of, how about them Cowboys? Ooh.
Hey, that was well transitioned. I will tell you because they are.
Dog shit.
I
I know you watched this game, right? Watched it start to
didn't
finish. And
even. It's gone to the point. Okay, viewers, you see, I'm wearing a Man United jersey because
mm-hmm,
I don't
mm-hmm.
wear the freaking Cowboys jersey. It hurts. It hurts to wear it. I feel like a loser if I wear it. I didn't watch this game, but I will tell you the final score was 27-21, baby. Not the Cowboys.
Oh man, and it really wasn't a 27-21 game. It was a they were down two possessions pretty much the whole game at least, and yeah, not a good look. And I'll be honest, yeah, I didn't watch too much of this game either. Had other games going on, and at least for the Falcons, like give them their credit because I think that's what's getting lost in this whole thing because the Cowboys are always talked about and they've been sucking, but I feel like the Falcons are getting it together right now. They
Yeah.
played really well in this game. Kirk Cousins is looking like he's back to 100% and everything. So good to see for them. Drake London, wanted to mention him. He got his sixth touchdown reception of the season, and that matches his total from the last two seasons combined. So I know fantasy owners are loving that, and he's loving that, and it just goes to show what a competent quarterback can do for your wide receivers and your offense in general. So really awesome for them. But yeah, let's get into the Cowboys, baby. And the drama started even
We have
before the
to.
game.
We have to get into it.
Oh man, we do because it's the highlight of my week, especially after oh man, Derek Carr does what he does. Cowboys do what they do, man. I'm on cloud nine. Doesn't even matter whatever else happened in the NFL.
Oh
But yeah, dude,
man.
it started before. I don't know how much you know about this. I'm sure you follow a little bit more, but Zeke
Yeah.
inactive for this game for disciplinary reasons, and all I could see was that this issue, whatever it is, they're keeping it in house, but it's been building for some time. I know we talked about a few weeks ago how he was upset with his usage and thought he deserved more snaps and everything. So I don't know if it's something about that, but it was decided that it was in everyone's best interest for him to not travel to the game with his teammates. I think he would have been inactive anyways. He had an injury, but he didn't fly with the team. So what are your thoughts on that? Did you hear anything else? And
Yeah, I didn't see a whole lot of what was going on this as far as what the disciplinary action was. I could see where I feel like he's kind of been a little bit more frustrated with McCarthy as if anybody else isn't, except apparently Jerry Jones. Um,
yeah.
which I think he has Alzheimer's because, anyways. So like I think that he's been butting heads with a lot of the coaches, and so I could see that being an issue over there. But at the same time, Zeke's old man. I thought that when they brought him this year, all they were going to use him was red zone
Mm-hmm.
and just punish like third downs, whatever it was. So I don't see him why he's complaining a lot on why they're not using him. Well, dude, you're not performing anything, and I was excited when you came back because I thought you were just going to be that short yardage guy, and that you're gonna be that punishment guy for us, but it's not looking like it's working out really well either. So
Mm.
it's a team that's just like still trying to figure out what's going on, what is happening with the players, with the coaching, with the owner. Oh wait, he's also the GM. He's also the coach.
He's everything, man. Oh man, that's tough. I saw some. I can't remember what it was. It was on the McAfee show, but some fan they do like a overreaction thing, and I think someone called him a big fat bowling ball or something like being head coach for the Cowboys. But man, that is tough. And talk about a new change of scenery with him being in that contract year. I feel like he's going to be gone. And yeah, I mean, hopefully it's just not what Jerry Jones would do. Actually, Jerry Jones' move would be to re-sign him like they
Well,
did
did
with
you? I don't know if you
Jason
saw it
Garrett for so
today.
long.
Well, I don't know if you saw it today. He said that he has nothing against McCarthy. He doesn't think anything is on going on with McCarthy. Bro, McCarthy is a terrible coach. There's a
It
reason
just
why
hasn't
the
worked out, man.
yeah.
I know he's won that Super Bowl with Green Bay, but
Was that
it's
him?
not
Or was
working.
that Aaron Rodgers?
I don't know.
Ashwagandha back then was looking good.
Oh boy, it's tough. I think like we talked about, dude. It'd be awesome. I think it would fix everything, especially with your defense being the problem that it is. I mean, dude, there was that one broken play by Trevon Diggs, of course, and I can't remember the other guy, but that was when Mike McCarthy slammed his tablet to the ground in frustration and just overall dumpster fire. And if you could get Bill Belichick as your head coach, Robert Sala as your defensive coordinator, because I think all Dallas Cowboys are not too big of fans of Mike Zimmer.
Dude,
He has not done anything for that defense at
here's my thing.
whatsoever.
I think do you here's where I look at it now. Like look at the last year season we had, even though it was still a disappointing season with having a first round exit in the playoffs. I think you look at it, was it I seriously give Dan Quinn a big like hats off to him. His
Hmm.
defense basically carried that whole team.
Oh my
And
god.
now he's been promoted to a head coach and what look at what his team is doing, right?
Yep.
Like I truly feel like it was his team that made that team better. His defense, he was able to control people. He was able to just get him ready for everything. His defensive planning was amazing.
Hmm.
And you had Micah shining. You had Bland shining. You had Diggs also was injured, but he's still like he was supposed to come and pop off this season. And all he's doing is getting cooked and getting yelled at by reporters. So it's just so frustrating. Like it just does not make sense to me of what's going on. Like now that I now that let me just say it, Dak is injured, right? Like
Yep.
he's supposedly supposed to they just came out today and said it's actually a lot worse than they thought he was
The
originally,
hamstring.
and so he's projected to miss a couple weeks. Okay, you paid this guy 60 million a year. He's not balling out. I've said it from day one.
You have.
Dak needs a reset. Cowboys need a reset. Like you should have never. It's just so freaking frustrating, bro. Why would you pay the guy 60 million a year when you could have just said this is a prove it year for you. Let's see what we can do. Because
Yeah.
if our defense is struggling and we've been injured so much, he should be the guy that's driving that offense. He should be showing that he's worth that 60 million, and he is not showing that.
He really hasn't. I mean, I think a big part of it is the fact that you guys have zero run game, and it makes it, I think that's why CD hasn't had the big year too, because I think I heard something like they have I can't remember if it was QBR rating when targeting CD or something. They're like 26th in the league or something when Dak targets CD. And I think a huge part of it is because he's your only offense is
Yeah.
CD Lamb. Like that's the
Yep.
only bright spot you have on that offense. There's nobody in the running game. Dak's not playing well. You know that they have to throw it to him, so they double him every time. And it's just tough. And hey, but shout out to CD though. He got a sprained AC joint in this game, and he played through it. Man, he stuck it out. You could tell he was in pain. He was frustrated, but he went out there for his team. So I got to respect that at least. And yeah, we'll see what's going forward. I'm hearing different things from kind of the Cowboys world. Cooper Rush or Trey Lance? What are you? What side are you on? What do you want
It
to see
doesn't
here?
matter, dude. We're playing the Eagles next.
Ooh,
Like the Eagles are gonna take a on us, and they're gonna just rub it all in our face, right?
oh boy,
You won't catch me betting
that
on
I
that game
wouldn't.
against Sam, sorry, Sime,
I'm,
or
that is what
anybody
Eagles
who's an
fans do. They're
Eagles fan.
famous for spreading the shit around. I've
Yeah,
heard that.
yeah, yeah. Those Eagles fans are not fun to be around. Sime, just kidding. But like, there, it just doesn't matter who you go with. I think you really go with Cooper Rush, just
Yeah,
because he's proven to be the quarterback that's actually gonna get you winning games when Dak was hurt. Trey Lance still, I feel like he still hasn't even figured out what the playbook is. The first worst trade of anybody's. I was high hopes on him, but now I truly see what the 49ers saw in him, and that was nothing. So, I mean, either
well, they
way, I
saw
think
that
you
Mr.
get.
Brock Purdy was good, right? That's probably why.
I'm not saying that, but
Anyways,
I'll tell you, Dak ain't good. And he
mm,
continues to show that. And I think this is a bust season. I think that you just try not to get your other guys injured. I think Mike McCarthy's got to go. I think Jared Jones has got to go as a GM. And I just I'm so confused, man. I really hate to say it, but I really said this so much, and I think everybody's just getting annoyed at this point. I really don't like Dak. I really
yeah,
never thought he was the guy. I thought Zeke was the guy when they had that wonderful season, both of them. I think we had a great old line, but it's like my thing is you've gotten paid big, and you have not proven it. If our defense, like I said, is struggling, you should be picking it up, man. You should be throwing these like insane plays, and you don't even. The GM is the owner, so he's not making any moves. We're not getting any other receiver to help CD Lamb out. We're not
nope.
getting a running back when we could have. Oh, he doesn't
Dude,
fit in the way we play. Bro, get your Alzheimer's
figure out a
out of
way,
here,
man.
bro.
Figure out a way to fit him in. You're the worst running team in the league. Maybe if you had him, it would have you'd have figured it out, right? But
Ah, it's so
and we'll get
frustrating,
into that
man.
more. Like we talked about, we were talking about it earlier with Mixon, where he, look at what Mixon's doing, and a guy like even Joe Mixon would have transformed this team, dude. Imagine
100%.
if you had him. And yeah, we'll get into it a little later, but
Yeah,
let's
they
move
need to figure
along.
out something quick, man. And if it's not this season,
Well, that's the
you
thing is
catch
this
me not
season was
watching.
supposed to be the season for some
Yep.
reason, like
Yeah.
after last year you had the upset in the playoffs, but it's like, all right, they're gonna come back, you still got you paid Dak, you got CD. Yeah, you didn't get a big name in free agency like a running back, but you're supposed to be good. The defense was supposed to be good. And I know you're missing Micah Parsons still and it's Demarcus Lawrence
Okay.
still out
No,
too.
he's still out too. So,
But just definitely not expected to be this bad. And now you're in
uh,
contention. I think they have like just as high a percentage to get a top five pick as they do to make the playoffs. It's like 5 or 6% for both of them. So you're kind of in limbo. What do you even do with this season, especially with Dak, man? But before we get too depressed, let's just move along. All right, buddy. I'm so sorry. I
is there
can't
a
believe I've
crying
said that.
emoji?
Can't believe I've said that as a Cowboys hater, but yeah, you kind of deserve it. It's tough. It's tough being a Cowboys fan, man. I can't imagine. All right, let's that's so funny. It's so funny.
So funny.
Oh boy. Well, let's talk about another game before we get into our picks. Just real quick, Bengals Raiders. This was just kind of I wanted to mention this because this was like a coming out party for the Bengals. I mean, I know it is just the Raiders, but boy, Joe Burrow looked amazing. Threw for 5 touchdowns in this game. Chase Brown also has a field day, looking like definitely the number one running back for them. I know him and Zach Moss have kind of been splitting it all season, but
Yeah.
Zach Moss was out for this game, but he is starting to lose the snaps. And Chase Brown has a field day, 27 carries, 120 yards, receiving touchdown in this game. And then other news was Raiders, they benched Minshew again for Desmond Ritter. Nothing much changed. Pretty much just stayed the same there. And then they fired their offensive coordinator, Luke Getzey. So talk about another dumpster fire, man. Just staying along with that train. Raiders, dude, they do not look good whatsoever. So we'll have to see what they end up doing, man, because I think a lot of people, I don't know, like everybody thought, Antonio Pierce was going to be their savior, and now it's not looking like he doesn't knows
I
what to
mean,
do at
I
all.
think you still got to give him a chance. I think that I could see this being like them taking Shador Sanders
Hmm.
and thinking that he could save their program, or I guess their franchise. So I think they were just gonna play dog shiz just like they've been doing all season, and then they're gonna end up getting. I think that I really don't see Las Vegas and Sanders. That just sounds like a perfect fit. So
Hmm.
the
Makes
attention that he
sense.
would bring, and so
And then
they
maybe you
just
get
I could see.
Deion Sanders as the head coach if it doesn't work out.
And there's always that. And then you get Shiloh there. So it's perfect, man. Family
There you go.
business.
There you go. All right. Well, let's get into our picks. So I'll start with mine. My lock was the Eagles. And like I said last week, I picked them because they were favored over the Jaguars. It was a tough week to pick, but I felt good about that and end up getting the points for that. Eagles beat the Jaguars 28-23. This was interesting because I think they were up 22 to nothing at one point. And then Jaguars have a huge third quarter, come back kind of in the fourth quarter. But man, like we said, those running backs have switched team. Saquon Barkley, bro.
Talk about him.
What the hell is this dude on?
Talk about him.
Oh my goodness. I mean, let's talk about the play everybody's talking about, right? And even before he did what was most impressive, like he had a nasty spin move, juke,
Yep.
huge run, and then hurdles a freaking full standing, a guy standing all the way up, hurdles his entire ass backwards, bro. What the fuck? This guy is a cheat code, dude. And talk about, we've talked about it with the Giants. The Giants pretended like there was no way the Eagles were interested, that he was going to get him back. They were playing low, they were trying to lowball Saquon, and now look what he's doing for a division rival. And like you said, man, the freaking Cowboys. Imagine why couldn't the Cowboys shell out some money for him? Is it another scheme thing with Saquon? Doesn't fit the scheme. I mean, dude,
No
to see all these
comment.
running backs and you guys didn't even. That's the thing. It's not even that you didn't get them. It's just you didn't even
You
try
didn't
for them.
try.
Jerry Jones didn't even try to get any of these guys, dude. Saquon, Derrick Henry for Dallas right now, you're talking about a whole different team right now, dude. And Saquon is showing that he is so worth it, still in his prime. And not only just that backwards hurdle, man, but he had 159 yards on the ground, even more
Jeez.
through the air, and
We had a
two
receiving
touchdowns
touchdown.
overall. Yeah, like dude's a baller. He's saving that Eagles team. I think that they're good. Like they got the receivers and everything, but if it weren't for Saquon right now, I think you're looking at a totally different team. You might be looking at the Cowboys. Honestly, what Saquon brings to them, it opens it up for Jalen. It opens it up for the receivers, dude. So gotta put your hats off for the Eagles for going and getting him, man. One more thing to note in this was AJ Brown. He got ruled out in this game with a knee injury. Looked kind of bad, but reports today are that it is believed he avoided a serious injury. He could return next week. So we love to hear that for AJ Brown. But yeah, just overall, Eagles they still want to fire Eagles fans still want to file Nick Sirianni, dude, even after a win, because
It's
there
a
were
weekly
multiple
thing, dude.
times every week. I think it was just times when he went for two for no reason, went for it on fourth down and easy field goal range, and then obviously, like you said, they were up 22-0 and let that comeback come. So, but they continue to win, man, and they stay right in the race for that NFC East.
Yeah, it's unfortunate when you have to say fly, Eagles, fly.
Fly.
And it just I complained about this when it first happened. The Giants giving out oh my gosh. Giving a star freaking running back, Mr. Squad freaking
Squad.
Barkley, like Mr. Quads, dude. This dude, that's why he's able to do the things that he did. Like when he was at Penn State, he was insanely good. Like he was hurdling people just as much as he is now. And to show that he can stay healthy and that power that he has in those big old quads that he has, Like the man's just a freakish athlete, and to give him up to a division freaking rivals, like that legitimately does not make sense to me. Like, where is your
And he
competitiveness? Give
wanted
him
to stay in
anybody
New
else.
York, dude.
Yeah,
He wanted to stay.
like the Giants just looking
Ridiculous.
like stupid another Jerry Jones owner, dude. Giants and Cowboys are just the dumbest franchises that I've ever known. To be honest with you, to just give up a player like that, he deserve it. And now he's just balling out for the Eagles, like you said. He had a receiving touchdown like it was nothing. Like he's been playing receiver, like it was a corner, like basically post out, and just
Mhm.
Jalen just threw a perfect throw on him. He's making Jalen look like he's a freaking 5-star quarterback again, or an MVP type of player, I guess you could say. Not 5-star, but
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, it's just, to me, it's just the Eagles are clicking right now. It's between them and the Commanders, and it's going to come down to whose season is better. And I think that right now, those two you cannot compete with, because the Giants and the Cowboys are run by two old dementia having owners.
Oh man, yeah, it's it's not looking good for those two teams. And then yeah, on the other side, the Eagles are staying right with it. I feel like the Commanders, everybody's kind of like saying that they're the team, but the Eagles are right there, 6-2. Commanders are 7-2. Just a real quick talk about them. They beat the Giants, surprise, surprise, 27-22. Jane Daniels, of course, did his thing, balled out, and Giants kept it close again, but just yeah, still a dumpster fire. So let's move along to my underdog pick, which was my Patriots. Homer.
Homer.
They were 3-point underdogs to the Titans. So let's get into it. Before the game, we had some notes. I saw a report that they're looking to add talent at the wide receiver, defensive tackle, or offensive tackle position, which is interesting because, obviously the Patriots are in a sell mode rather than a buy mode right now, as they're, looking to get a top pick next year and everything. But good news on this was Drake May was active. He cleared concussion protocol and was able to play in this game. On the other side, Will Levis still not able to overcome his shoulder injury, so he was out. Mason Rudolph gets the start, and then we get into it, and honestly, it kind of
Rudolph.
looked like it looked like a 2-6 team going up against a 1-6 team, and it was kind of tough to start both sides. And uh, man, you just saw our deficiencies in the offensive line again. Drake May was pressured the entire game, sacked 4 times, like I said, pressured the entire time. He threw a pick because of pressure. He had a fumble, a strip sack, and he was just running for his life out there. And he literally did everything for this Patriots offense, man. I remember I showed you guys that picture of Drake May as the Bugatti in the trailer park, and it's proven more evident than we've even seen. He accounted for 95% of the Patriots offense,
Yikes.
300 out of the 316 yards, dude. Like, dude is good. Like, we at least we can see that, and we've gotten to see that. So I guess it's good that we got to see him. But at the same time, the way he was pressured in this game, man, it's like you do not want to get him injured right now, and that's kind of why I wanted him to sit. But at least he's getting some experience and getting some real live action. But we still can't freaking run the ball, dude. We can't run the ball and we can't stop the run. And how many times have we talked about how important that is in the game of football, man? If you can do those two things, you might be good. And we look like the worst on both of them. Ramondre Stevenson, you ready for this stat line? 10 carries, 16 yards.
Yee.
Boy, at least he's a touchdown machine. I ended up starting him in fantasy, and I think he got like 22 points. I don't know like how, but yeah, we just can't run the ball. And then on the other side, your old running back who went to a new team and is balling out, Tony Pollard. He had 28 carries for 128 yards. So he balled the hell out, but we couldn't stop. Like I said, we couldn't stop the run. He had big, wide, gaping holes to run through. So it was just bad to see. But we stayed in it the whole game. The Titans also not that good and ended up being kind of a good game. And then, man, oh, to send it to overtime. Drake May, dude. Only Drake May. He scrambled around for about 15 seconds. It was third and goal, no time left on the clock. Have to get a touchdown. We're down 7. falling down, throws it to Ramondre Stevenson, who gets the receiving touchdown here to tie the game up, send it to overtime. Fucking awesome to see, man. Like Drake May is good. He is very freaking good, and it's almost like what Wesley said. At least we have some form of offense, and you have some competency at the quarterback position, and it just has been so long. So love to see that. A lot of people were a little upset because we thinking we should have gone for two, and I kind of see that because you don't have that much confidence in your defense that they can stop the run, but at the same time, like it's such a risky thing. I feel like 90% of the time you're gonna kick that extra point to send it to overtime. And that's what we end up doing. And we hold them to a field goal. So we have a chance to go down, tie it, or win the game with the touchdown. And then, even though I'm talking about how good he is, Drake May did just throw a pick all on his own. It was his fault. This wasn't a pressure. And he admitted it. And again, more things I love to say about Drake May is like the way he just took accountability for it.
Yeah,
And he just said,
100%.
we were thrown into the wind and I have to put more on it. Just a dumb decision by me. Something you'd like to have back, especially in a situation where we could have at least tied it up. And sometimes the best play is just to throw it away. And you got to love
Smart.
to hear that from,
Yeah.
a rookie quarterback, right? Especially when we see the shit like Anthony Richardson, how he tapped out of last week and stuff. So love to see that, man. And a lot of not just fans, but players are singing his praise. David Godshaw, our defensive tackle, actually called him a young Josh Allen 2.0. So awesome to see there. But yeah, we get the loss 20 to 17. And I mentioned the Saints are in the number 2 pick position. Pat's back in number
Woo,
1,
woo,
baby.
woo. Yeah, the only thing I have to say on this game was that Drake May's looking like he was actually a good pick. I know you were a little like, first one was what's his name on the Vikings, JJ. Yeah,
hmm
you were definitely not wanting him, and then you were like, you
Yep.
know what, Drake May might be a good pick as well. We'll take him because you couldn't get your guy that you wanted, obviously.
Right.
Um, Still having a good off, like even though he doesn't really have protection, and we've seen what protection does for a
He
quarterback,
doesn't have
especially when they're first
protection. He
young.
doesn't have weapons.
And
Like
yeah,
he's literally like the stats say he's literally their entire offense right now. He
and it's
he
the same
ran
thing
for
for
almost
Bryce
100
Young.
yards in this game.
How many
Like
yards?
he almost ran for 100 yards himself.
Wow.
So continues to be the leading rusher, leading passer, leading everything for the Patriots right now.
And it's so weird that Ramondre Stevenson is struggling so much. Like I thought this is the year where he's gonna take on the big load. He was healthy. He's
Yep.
gonna continue to like just ball out, but it's like
And
looking
again,
like
it's
a
that O
bust
line,
season.
man. That O line can't create holes for him. He's stuffed at the line every single time, pretty much. I mean, literally 1.6 yards per carry. He's not getting
Yeah.
any separation.
Yeah, just unfortunate, but now you guys are back in the number one pick. I think that's the best thing that could happen because you guys don't need a quarterback, right? Like
Nope.
you could definitely go out and get some good receivers that are going to be out there. You're going to have Tez Johnson or
Offensive tackle. We
or
needed that.
offensive tackle. But I'm just looking at more of the, even if you went with the receiver route and get a player to build on him, you're gonna have multiple first round picks most likely, right?
Maybe
Or even early second round picks. So where you're gonna end up having a lot of good receivers. Those Ohio State receiver. You have Tez Johnson. You're gonna have a few from
you want to know
um
the biggest name I'm hearing?
uh
Travis Hunter to the Pats.
yeah,
And the
I
thing
don't see
is,
that one.
like, we're seeing it right now, man. We've seen it in other, with other teams, and we need to get an offensive tackle. So I think you don't have to take him with the number 1 pick. So I think that what the best position we'll have is, like you said, maybe you can get another first round pick or early second round picks, and you get a team that's desperate, maybe like the Saints, maybe like the Browns or something that need a quarterback, and
Quarterback,
you can
yeah,
trade back, right? And still get your guy. We need an offensive lineman. We have no offensive linemen that are really worth a damn right now,
yeah,
and at least that are healthy. So I want Will Campbell. That's the guy I'm looking at
nice,
from LSU right now.
yeah,
And I think we need to go that route. I like how the Lions did it. The Lions went and got your boy from
Tua.
Oregon.
Yeah,
Panay
Penny
Sewell,
Sewell.
and
Yeah,
look what they're doing with that, you know. So, like you said, maybe you can pick up a wide receiver. Maybe Tez Johnson is available in the second round, third round, or something like that, you know.
yeah. I mean, I
But
don't. Yeah, I don't see him falling that far. But there's just so many like talented receivers we just have seen.
mhm.
Coleman, like he on the Bills, like we didn't.
Yep,
Like it's just wide receivers. There's so much talent, regardless of what round you get them, and they're either a bust or really good. Like Troy Franklin for the Broncos, he was super good for the Ducks, and preseason he struggled. He didn't even look like Troy Franklin. So,
yep,
and now he's starting to turn things around. Him and Bo Nix are kind of connecting really well. So it's just you can go for an offensive line tackle or whatever for whatever, but then you still have, if you can get another first round or early second round picks, like I said, you can still get some good receivers to help build that connection for Drake May. So I think it's good things happening regardless if you lose or win. I think you're not gaining anything and you're not
yeah,
losing anything. So just try
yeah.
not to get Drake May freaking done for the
Killed.
season.
Exactly. You just got to keep him healthy. And that's a thing, too. Like, I'm glad we, kind of ruined the Jets season, had that embarrassing loss for them last week. But, yeah,
Love it.
at this point, like, it's good to see, like, the Browns got the Ravens that, brought them up. The, the Panthers, they get the win against the Saints. So, like, we're winning the tank battle right now. And the Titans were, again, another team that was right in that race. And now, we have the tiebreaker for the pick against them. So yeah, like I've said it since the beginning of the season. Like there's really not that much expectations for this season, and
100%.
the most important thing is the development of Drake May. And as long
Keep
as we can
developing.
keep him healthy, maybe I'll say like okay, maybe I was wrong. Maybe it's good that he got out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just got to keep him healthy. So well, let's stay in the AFC East. Let's talk about the Bills Dolphins. And what a game, man. 30-27. Bills get the win. I picked the Bills as 6.5 favorites over the Dolphins. So the Dolphins cover. They only lose by 3, and it was after a 61-yard field goal from Tyler Bass to win it, man. Talk about clutch. And he had, straight down the middle. He had it 5, 6 more yards on that at least. So awesome for him, and he's kind of had a struggling season. So good to see him getting back in there. And then another thing I wanted to note on this game real quick was on their like last desperation play, because they get the ball and I think they only had time for one play, like 5 or 6 seconds, and they're on the 25 or the 30, so they can't do a Hail Mary. They gotta do one of those hook and lateral or just lateral plays. Jalen Waddle, he ran back almost 25 yards, which took Tua from his over under was like 248 passing yards or something, and he went over. So if you bet on his over, you lost it on that final play because Jalen Waddle went back 25 yards and got his ass tackled. So, yep, I get my points for that. So overall, I get 8 points on the week. I got my lock and I got my random. Didn't get the underdog. How about you? How did your picks go?
Yeah, I mean, just a quick mention on that game too. Like, it looks like this might be a washed-up season for the Dolphins.
Oh
Just
yeah.
like the,
Hmm.
they were talking about some of the teams that could be using a sell basically season, and Dolphins
Right.
were one of those on that report that I was reading on Bleacher Report. So it's just frustrating because they had their quarterback, they had their guy hurt with the concussion, and I think they did it right by not rushing him. I
Hmm.
hope that he continues to stay healthy. Like we want that success for him, and it just seems like they're just struggling offensively, and they can't get the games to just close out where they're winning or
Yeah,
so
they've come back. Like their offense has been definitely miles better than
way
without
better.
Tua, right? And
Right.
I think they lost by 1 point last week, 3 points this week. So,
Yeah.
but it's just a thing. You were already in the hole when Tua went down, and you had to win these last two games to get out of that hole. But instead,
Yep.
you just dug yourself deeper. So, yeah, I
Yeah, and
think
it
that's a great point. It's the AFC East, man. It's a runaway for the Bills right now. I think they're 6-2. We're 2-7. Dolphins are 2-7, and Jets are 3-6. So tough look for the AFC East unless you're a Buffalo Bill.
yep. I mean they're just doing their thing and continue to grow. So let's get into my luck for my picks this week. I was writing them all year long.
Mm-hmm.
This week, Oshawa kinda got to us. I already talked about this game. It's the Houston against the Jets. Houston were +2 underdog, 2 points underdogs, and so I just kind of was like, there's no way that that's correct. And so they ended up losing to the Jets. I lost 5 points to that. Thanks a lot, Houston. And then my underdog. This was an interesting game because there's a lot of stuff that was happening. Pick the Rams. They were 1 point underdogs, true underdogs for this versus the Seahawks. And the this game was interesting, right?
was
A
a hell
lot
of
of
a
crazy
game.
stuff happened.
Yeah.
They end up so the Rams end up beating the Seahawks with a one-handed. Everybody's doing the one-handed grab all of a sudden, by Demarcus Robinson in overtime. So this game went into overtime too. So and then who thought this would happen?
Hmm.
Puka Nakua
Lost me my fantasy game this week.
freaking ejected in the first half for throwing a punch. He
Dude,
threw a
and
nuke.
he did. He did. He did not. That was the thing. I don't know if you said he like threw it. I get it. Totally, I understand. But like it was barely anything. He barely got him. They were shoving each other. I don't know if it's just because he's on my fantasy team. He got me a whopping, I think, 2.1 points in a game where I really needed him. But that's I don't know. That seemed a little soft to me.
Yeah, I mean, anytime that you're gonna throw anything like a punch or anything like that, and you're always gonna get called, you're always gonna be the bad guy. I never saw something like that coming out of Puka. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe just a game full of emotions. I
Yeah,
did love what
divisional game.
yeah, and I was just gonna mention too, Geno Smith. Like Geno Smith threw a terrible,
Dude,
terrible pick six,
what are you even thinking right
103 yards
there? Oh my goodness,
pick
dude.
six. So, oh my gosh, he did come out and apologize and said that you know what, this one's on me.
Did
We need
he?
to do play
Yeah.
player. We
Well,
need to do play. We need to play better.
mhm.
But
And you need to play better, man. I mean, even after he threw another terrible pick in that game too, is almost the same thing where it just was like straight to the defender, like
yeah,
he didn't even see him, and but he was sitting right in front of him, and they still were in that game, even with his mistakes. So Seahawks started out, I think they started out 3-0, so they were looking real good, but on a little bit of a slide right now. But I think like we talked about, dude, that NFC West is so weird. I think, like you said, all teams are
yeah,
basically like 3-4, four and
yep.
four, 4-3. So they're still in it. And so are the Rams, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's nobody's winning that division, but somebody has to eventually at the end of the season right now. So
It
it's
almost reminds me of
unfortunate.
like a few years ago when the NFC East sucked so bad. And I think it was the Commanders or then the Washington football team or whatever. And they were like 7-9 or something and had a home playoff game because the whole NFC East sucked.
Yeah,
I don't think they're all that bad, but they're just all so even. Literally, they're all just right there. And I think that's another game that we didn't have on our list, but the Cardinals killed the Bears. So we got to mention that, right? Caleb Williams
Caleb
going for
Williams
about
looks
50% completion percentage.
MVP. MVP.
Not even close to the running for even rookie of the year, but there go the Cardinals. I've been saying it all season, man. One week they look like dog shit. The next week they look like they're a playoff team, and this week they definitely looked like they were a playoff team. Beat the Bears 29-9.
Yeah.
It was awesome to see there for the Cardinals. Now they're 5-4. The Bears dropped to 0-4 on the road, and then I don't know if you saw this, but it's kind of funny. The Cardinals, they have a retractable roof, and they had it open even though rain was in the forecast the whole day. So they were actually getting hailed on at the beginning of the game because it takes like 10, 15 minutes to close the roof or something like
Yeah.
that. So they got hailed on in a dome.
Yeah, I did not see that actually. I didn't watch that
Yeah.
game, so
You go
but
look it up. It's just a weird, it's kind of like a weird just scene. Weird to see, but yeah.
yeah. I
Anyways,
mean,
I mentioned that game, but back into your picks.
no, you're good. I end up getting 3 points for that one. Good pick for me. And all the drama happening. So and then my random, I went with the Ravens. The Ravens just killed my poor guy Bo Nix Broncos. They looked like they were finally turning things around. They were 9.5 favorites over the Broncos. And it just kind of they started really well and they looked like they never wanted to stop. So Lamar Jackson has a perfect passing rating. King Henry doing king things.
And I think I saw something too about that. Like now he has the most games or tied for the most games with the perfect passer rating. And he did it in like it's his 86th career game. And then the other, I can't remember who it was, but whoever has the tied the record, it was like 130 games or something when they got it or something like that. So like dude's just balling out. And again, like you said, King Henry, bud, you're talking about a two-time MVP in Lamar Jackson
Yeah.
who looks the best that he's looked, I think, in his career because you added Derrick Henry and you put that on your team, man. What the hell? Like again, like and like you said, Jerry Jones just makes it worse. I know we bring it back to the Cowboys all the time, but just by saying that, like, just don't say anything. Just shut your fucking mouth. But we know Jerry doesn't do that. But obviously, you see it with the Ravens. We see it with the Eagles. We see it with the Titans. We see it with the Texans, man.
Yep.
All these teams look so much better. And now you got Lamar Jackson, who's a two-time MVP, looking the
Having
best that
this,
he's ever
yeah.
looked.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely looked like it was what he needed to complement his football and the way he does his thing. Got better in shape in the off season. He wanted to be a little bit faster again and be a little bit quicker. He looks like it. And they never let up, right? Like they that's King Henry's 100th career rushing TD. So props to him as well. And the Ravens, they make some headline before that too. They end up trading for Dante Johnson, um,
Wow.
and
Called it. Called it.
for a sixth round pick and a fifth round pick.
Well, that's the thing. So they got
Or
they
did
got
they get a
Deontay
sixth
Johnson
round
and a
and a
sixth
sixth
round
round? Okay,
for a fifth round. And I heard the way they were talking about it too is like
get
the
turned
fifth and
into
sixth rounds are going to be like those picks are going to be so close together that it's basically like they got Deontay Johnson for nothing.
nice.
I'm like, how do you do that? How do you let the Ravens just get that much better, man?
I don't
Zay
get it, man.
Flowers, I think it's going to be like the same thing. Like just like Garrett Wilson got better, Zay Flowers is going to get better. That whole
Yeah,
Ravens offense is going to get better. Now they talk about it. Their secondary, especially their defense, is their problem. Now,
yeah.
when your offense is killing teams like this, it doesn't really matter as much, but and it makes it easier on your defense. But I mean, hell, if you got Deontay for basically nothing, anyways, it's not like it hurts. I know you need to improve on the defensive side, but if you're going to get Deontay for nothing, why not?
Do it, yeah. I mean, if their team is going to put up points like this, so they end up. I don't know if I said the score. They end up scoring 41 on the Broncos to 10. So they just poured on him and never looked back on it. He did only play 10 to 15 snaps too, which kind of makes sense when you get traded middle of the week.
Yeah.
But then the most exciting part, Bo Nix getting
Yeah,
a
there was one highlight. There was one highlight for the
he did.
Broncos.
He did. He got a receiving touchdown, and boy, was he hyped about it. He looked like he just won the Super Bowl himself. So, I mean, I guess when you are a quarterback, those are some things that are just it never happens anyway. So I guess you can celebrate it, but it was like he was hyped when they were getting killed.
I did
So
see that, man. Well, tough luck for the Broncos. I mean, they've been doing good overall for so long. I remember talking about how I was is such a hard pick because I thought their defense was going to keep them in it a lot more than that. But and I was thinking about picking them as my underdog, seeing if I could get some points. But glad I stayed away from that one. And good
yeah,
pick for you. So, all right, let's get into Wesley's picks. And if he was here, he would be like, "There you go, Kyle, interjecting, or messing the flow up." I didn't. I forgot that this was his lock, but the Commanders over the
yeah.
Giants. So I already talked about that game. Commanders beat the Giants 27-22. So he gets 3 points for that. And then his underdog was the Dolphins, 6.5 underdogs against the Bills. Like we talked about, they lost that game, so but they do cover. Actually, I forgot that was the rule. I think that's not really been happened either. They don't cover, but he gets 3 points for that because they cover. So
Huh.
at least he gets those points there. But then we'll move on to Sunday Night Football, which was not a pick for him, but we'll just briefly talk about it because there's not much to talk about because this game was ass.
Booty cheeks.
Booty cheeks. The Colts versus the Vikings, and boy, especially that first half, there was just nothing. So one thing that we needed to talk about though is after the debacle that was Anthony Richardson tapping out, and dude, I don't know if we talked about it enough. Just fucking lie to the reporters, lie to the media. Like, say you had a hammy injury, say you had a cramp, say something like your contact fell out, like literally anything, and you would still have your starting job,
Yep.
I think. But for him to just be like, yeah, honestly, I was tired. I'm like,
I
what are
mean,
you
props to him for
doing?
being honest, but at the same time, you're an idiot,
Yeah,
dude.
props. I mean, like, respect for that. I think I heard our JJ Watt say that, like, I respect the honesty, but at the same time, it's pretty fucking dumb to be
Yeah.
honest in that situation. But hopefully he'll learn from it, and he's going to have to learn from the bench, at least for the foreseeable future, because they turned to Joe Flacco after this. And their head coach said it had nothing to do with that, but come on. Come on, bro. We know. We know. So they get Joe Flacco. And we know how big of fans we've been of Joe Flacco. So here we go. Colts can go on a run. Not so fast. Actually, had like the worst game that they had all season. I think he had a very bad completion percentage. He was 16 for 27. So he no touchdowns, one pick. Think that the Colts didn't even make it into the red zone.
Yeah.
They got their only touchdown, which was a pick six, so got it from the defense. And then the Vikings just kind of figure it out in the second half, and they get the win, 21-13. So the Vikings continue to roll. They get back on the winning streak, 6-2 now overall. And then one more thing to note is that head coach Shane Steichen does say that Joe Flacco will remain the starter for now, which I think is still the right choice. I know it was a tough game, but let's not act like Anthony Richardson would have done any better in this game. I
Yeah.
mean,
100%.
even without the whatchamacallit, the I'm tired thing, like he has a terrible completion percentage. Like he's just been bad. I think in that game he was tired. He was like 10 for 32 or whatever it was. So I think this is the right decision for the Colts going forward.
No, I mean, I agree 100%. This game was tough. I watched the first, I think, half, and then I was like, nah, I'm not watching this anymore. But Sam Darnold turned it around, got 3 touchdowns, and Justin Jefferson doing his thing. JJ just looks like he doesn't matter who's the playing quarterback. He just goes and grabs balls and just does his thing. So they looked really good as far as that, but everything else was just terrible in
Yep.
this game. But and I think big respect for him with like giving out Joe Flacco being the starter basically because
Yeah.
they just need to stick with him for now. So I don't have a whole lot to say to that game. I think it was just a boring game. Nobody wanted to really watch it. Should have probably flexed off them somewhere else.
Well, you
But
know what was funny? They got flexed into that game
yeah,
over Eagles and Jaguars, I think, which it ended up being a much better game.
entertaining game
So,
for sure.
but yeah, it's funny how that works out. So yeah, that was not one of his picks. His third pick is the Chiefs, which are 8.5 favorites over the Bucks, who, as we speak, are currently in overtime,
Ooh,
24-24. Chiefs have the ball driving right now, almost to field goal range. But if they get a touchdown, they win. So
let's
we'll
go
see if
Bucks.
we can update that as we're recording. We might not make it, but we will definitely update it next week. Talk more about this game in depth. Let's get into the pick'em standings. So we can't update officially yet because this game is a pick for Wesley, and so we won't have our picks on here, but we will announce them either on social media or we'll definitely let you guys know next week. But our games are official, so we can at least update our standings. And because of your lock, it kind of screwed you a little bit this week. Like I said, even though I was rooting for Houston because fuck the Jets, you lose those
You could
points.
say that
So
again.
you only get 3 points this week. I got 8, so I get a little bit more of a gap. I am at 66.5 points. You're at 60. And as it stands, Wesley is 27.5, but that's not including the 6 points he has. So we'll see the other points he gets as well. And then, yeah, like I said, we will get into the rest of our picks. We'll make sure we make them later on and update you guys on Monday Night Football. But other than that, that's all we got for the NFL this week. So we're going to take another break and get into the NBA Roundup. So we'll see you on
Yeah.
the other side. And welcome back to another edition of the NBA Roundup. So let's just hop into it. Some news. The NBA Adam Silver comes out and is looking at different formats for the All-Star game. So basically just continuing to try, and try again on a way to make this an actual competitive and entertaining game. So I like it, but I mean, what is actually happening, So
Yeah.
because it's just been so bad. I mean, players don't want to get hurt, so you just see literally no defense and just shooting from half court, dunks, whatever it is, and it's not even like a thing. Like honestly, I'll watch All Star Saturday and I won't even watch the NBA All Star game because it's just not worth it. So
Huh.
I don't know. I read the article. They didn't come out with any specifics yet, but they're looking at trying to do something. So they're actively trying to figure out something right now for the All Star game. So we'll see if it ends up being worth it.
I mean, I'm one of those people that actually doesn't care. Like, it's supposed to be a fun event. It's just almost like how the NFL does the pro
The
game.
Pro Bowl, but they
Yeah, like
stopped that because it was also so bad. So now they just do like all those random games. They do a little
the
flag
seven
football
on
game,
seven.
but
Yeah, but
yeah,
here's my thing though. This is supposed to be a fun, entertaining thing, and I
but
know
it's
that like
not.
it's
It's not
not.
fun or
But
entertaining.
it's for me, I'm like, I'd rather don't do it then. Like it's just not.
Hmm.
It people. You're not gonna have people compete and get injured when they still
Right.
have half of the season to play for. Right. This
I
is supposed
liked
to
it when
be
they put I think what was it? Like charity things on the
yeah.
line for the
They
West and
play
East or
actual
whatever.
yeah
Then they tried to do like the draft and stuff like that, like where players, captains draft their teams and stuff, which was kind of fun. But honestly, it was more fun to see who LeBron and KD would pick or LeBron and Giannis would pick
yeah.
versus the actual game.
But
So I
it's
see what
just
you're saying, and it's not like you said, you're not going to turn it into like an NBA game. But even back, when it was Jordan, Kobe playing in those games, like they would get competitive and they would actually try to play defense at least on a few possessions. Like,
yeah.
so if we can get some of that back, it would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be hard for them to do it with the way players are nowadays. They're finding ways to sit games so that they don't have to play towards the end of the season. So I think it's just the game is different. Like, it's not as competitive when it comes to stuff like that. Back then, East against West was like dangerous games. Like they were still fighting people. They
Hmm.
had bragging rights and stuff. So now I don't think the players care as much. So I'm
Yeah,
curious to see what they end up doing with it.
me too. All right, well, let's move along. Some NBA news. Rudy Gay retiring officially from the NBA after 17 seasons. Obviously, former Jazz man, kind of a journeyman, been around the league. I remember him from his Memphis days,
Memphis, yeah.
back when they had that crazy good defensive team, and stuff. But yeah, good for him, man. He had a great career. Wish the best for him. And yeah, it was always fun to watch him, especially in his prime. He was I feel like one of the best scorers and one of the first players I really remember watching.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly like how I'd put it. I remember him in his Memphis days. They had a really good team. He's a good shooter, good
Hmm.
defensive player kind of guy. So I think ultimately it's just one of those things that needed and a happy story ending, but he's not gonna get it. So it's just we'll see what his next chapter is. But I like Rudy Gay. I think he was a good player overall,
Yeah.
and we'll see. It's the next chapter for him. Maybe analysis job, maybe something else different. But for now, we're gonna have to see what he's doing with it.
Yeah. Well, one of his teams he played for, the Spurs. Let's talk about them. Greg Popovich, unfortunately, some sad news. Didn't see exactly what it is, but he is sidelined indefinitely with a health issue. Their assistant coach will take over as the interim while he's away, and we just hope for a speedy recovery. Obviously, good health, whatever it may be. you would hope that it doesn't, force him into retirement or anything like that. I don't think that there's any like thoughts of that, but obviously most important thing at the end of the day is that he's healthy. So if that is what's best for him, that's what's best. But not want to see it, man. Arguably the greatest coach of all time. You could definitely make that argument for him. I think he's all time, and does he have most wins? I believe
Most wins, I think most games, maybe.
something like that.
Yeah,
So, and he's stuck with San Antonio through the bad times, and they've stuck with him. So, wish the best for him.
yeah, 100%. No disrespect or anything to him. You wish for the best for him, and nothing more. So,
Yep. Well, let's get into the Utah Jazz or the Utah Ass. Man, what a
wait,
start to the
hold
season.
on. That's kind of funny.
I'm known for that sometimes, maybe just a little. No, but they have been in a tough stretch. Start this season, I'll say 0 for 6, and we lose Lowry in the first half of our fourth loss due to back spasms. And then I think it was the game after that, Jordan Clarkson goes down. He has plantar fasciitis. So down our two best players this early in the season, when even with them we were going to be bad. Not showing well. So we got a lot of young guys. We got our second rounder Kyle Filipowski starting. First rounder Cody Williams is starting. So definitely a young core. Been tough, and I did see that apparently the Jazz were offered D'Angelo Russell and multiple first round picks for Walker Kessler. I would have taken it. I mean, you're talking about a mid at best first round pick from a few years ago. I would take multiple first round picks. Honestly, don't even really care about D'Angelo Russell. It's just the picks.
Yeah.
More first round picks for a first round pick. Yeah.
Yep.
We're still rebuilding, and I don't know that Walker Kessler is going to be a staple of our future going forward.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what it is. The Thunder build off of the draft and
Mm-hmm.
getting those trades from players, or from teams, and so I would have taken it. I don't think Cody Kessler is that good for the Lakers to give out so many first round draft picks, especially when they're not going to have LeBron around for another, like the next. He's probably going to be here for one, maybe two more seasons.
Right.
So like it's to me, it's interesting that they're willing to give up those first round picks because you're going to need that when you're going to build around, let's say, Mr. Unibrow or whoever else is up there. So I find it kind of confusing for them to just deny that and to be like, oh no, we don't need it. I think we can get more. Good luck. So
Yeah, I agree.
interesting.
Um, but we have some good news. We can maybe bring the J back into fold here because the Jazz just a few minutes ago, actually cut their first win of the season, and we were
Ooh.
the last team to get a win. We were 0-6, the only team without a win. But now we are in the win column. Got our first win of the season, 135, 126. We were recording the podcast as that happened, so I didn't get to see too much from the game. I did see that John Collins had a nice game because we were, like I said, without Laurie or JC in this game. John Collins had 28 points, 13 rebounds. Um, I think the Bulls were without they were without Lonzo Ball, and they were without Zach Levine. So down a couple of very key guys. Not too much of an impressive win, but it's a win, and we needed one really
Yeah.
badly. So maybe we're doing the tank thing. It'd be imagine if the Jazz and the Patriots got the number one pick in the
You
same
would
year.
you would
That
probably
would
throw
be
a draft party.
I probably would. I probably would. We'd have to do something. So, anyways, enough about the Utah ass. Let's get into some more Western Conference news. I think this happened either the day we recorded or just after, but Bronny James officially in the NBA scorers column, if you will. He got his first NBA bucket in a blowout loss to the Cavs. So good for him. It was actually a pretty clean bucket. It was a fadeaway, kind of similar to his dad.
What his
And
dad did, yeah. He did
yeah,
that one
so
step and then kind of like almost like back right into a fadeaway two pointer.
But
But
some bad news on the Lakers. They did just lose to the Pistons today, 115 to 103.
to the
Anthony
Pistons?
Davis went off 37 points and 17 rebounds. LeBron did his thing, almost a triple double, but the Pistons, I think they might be a little bit better. I know they added some vets like Malik Beasley, and they had Fontecchio from the Jazz last year in that trade. So we'll see what they do if they can develop. They got Tobias Harris obviously as well, Tim Hardaway. So maybe they
Added
aren't
some
just the
stuff.
bottom of the league. I don't know if they're a playoff team quite yet, but let's
Yeah.
move along to the Timberwolves. They had a really awesome game. They beat the Nuggets on a 15-2 run at the end of the game to get a narrow win. But in this game, Mr. Bruce Brown jammed on Rudy Gobert,
Uh,
taunted him a little bit too much, and Rudy Gobert took exception with it, shoved him a little bit, and then Rudy just has a talent for him, man. I love him, but he has a talent for making himself a meme. I don't know if you've seen this, but he wasn't looking, and Russell Westbrook started to come towards him, and you could see as soon as Rudy caught his eye, he got like all scared and he flinched
I did not
back.
see that. But Russell Westbrook will be the guy to definitely back up his teammate and get
One
into a scuffle.
1000%, man. And yeah, so tough look for Rudy. Of course, Shaq is posting every highlight of that dunk because he just loves to hate on Rudy. But
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, but Rudy is getting cooked. He got cooked from Mr. Alien the day before.
mm-hmm,
Like, I don't know if he saw that step back three that he had on him and the block that he had on him. Like,
mm-hmm,
he just had a couple like bad stretches of games where Rudy's not looking like the defensive player that he is. And so I
yeah,
can kind of see why Mr. Shaq is going to take advantage of every minute that he can when he's kind of been getting cooked a little bit. So, and
yeah,
he's
you're
supposed to be the
right.
guy
He
for
had
them now
a terrible game in that. He only had 5 total rebounds. What is it? 3 rebounds?
in the Timberwolves game.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
Timberwolves league Spurs. What the? Anyways,
Yeah.
that's interesting to see. But let's finish out the Western Conference portion with the updated standings. So your Thunder improved to 7-0,
Yep.
undefeated, baby. How are you feeling about your Thunder as we continue to go along, and we still have not seen them lose?
Bro, it's just to me it's so interesting because they seem to continue to get better. This team is revolving around Mr. Shay Shay himself. He's playing really well. That 2019 trade is looking like we won a big time on it. So
Big time.
I couldn't be more happier from it. Jet being that number uh number
Two draft
two
pick.
pick in the 2022 draft, best thing that could have happened.
Yep.
And Jalen Williams, man, that guy is balling out, just doing his own thing from that same draft. So, and then Alex Crusoe has been like the best add-on addition from Chicago. Like he basically to get nothing from him. I mean, I think Josh Giddey is doing just fine for the um Bulls, but
Hmm.
we're just looking good, man. And to continue to doing the things that they do and how they've been able to kind of continue to progress every game, I'm excited to see what happens. I think that they're not going to continue to be undefeated, as
Well,
far as I know,
obviously,
but at least it's looking really good. Like they have Denver next, they have Houston next, and then obviously they have
bro.
Golden State. So it's a couple like tough games against Denver and against Golden State. So I think that as they continue to progress, that this young team is going to continue to get better, and they're going to continue to buy in the system, knowing that Shay Shay is the guy, but everybody just contributes so well, man. Like I'm really excited for it, and especially when they have a Weber State guy on the
Hmm.
team, Dylan Jones. I think that it makes it a little bit more exciting. So I'm interested to see how they end up with the middle of the season, the beginning of the season, and then towards the finish if they end up being that first place in the conference again.
Yeah, it's a great way to start, man. And I just looking, your defense, dude, is
Stacked up.
killing it. This is unheard of in 2024. You're holding your opponents to 95.9 points per game.
And
That
that's
doesn't
adding
happen.
Alex Creso into it because he's such
Yeah.
a defensive minded guy, dude.
That
Like that
doesn't
was the
happen
best thing
in
that could have happened.
2024, bro. The next closest is actually happens to be the Warriors, who are number 2 in the West, and they're 6-1, and they're 104.3, so almost 10 points better than defensively than any other team in the NBA.
Yeah,
That's awesome, man. And yeah,
yeah,
Warriors off to a really good start, 6-1. You know, they've been struggling the last few years, so awesome to see for them. Suns are also good at 5-1 for the 3 seed. Mavs are 4-2. Your Lakers are 4-3 now. Timberwolves also 4-3. Houston Rockets 4-3, and Kings are 4-3. So then you got the Grizzlies and Spurs 4-4, 3-3 right there. Nuggets are also 3-3, and then it kind of tails off after that. So that's the Western Conference update. And yes, the Utah Jazz, even with the win, are still at the bottom of the conference and tied for the worst record in the league. With moving into the Eastern Conference, her favorite Milwaukee Bucks, who are also 1-6 at the bottom of the Eastern Conference.
yeah. I mean, let's just get into it with the Eastern Conference news around, and then we'll get into their standings as well, and kind of talk shit on the Bucks a little bit later on. But let's start with Mr. Pablo. He dropped a 50-point triple double. And then a couple games after that, he ends up just basically suffering a big old blow and has a torn oblique, right oblique.
Mm-hmm.
I said this before. I don't know why I don't like him. I still don't like him. I think he has a
What?
good game. I don't know why, dude. I really think it's just because I played 2K and he just was that guy that I had to like play against, and I didn't like him then, and I still don't like him. So I don't know what it is. I just he's
Just
a good
like my
player. The Magic.
unnecessary hate for Derek Carr in the NFL. That's just how you
Yes,
feel about
that's
Paulo.
exactly what it really is.
But Paulo's actually good.
He is. He is actually really good. I just don't know why I don't like him or his game. But good
Uh,
for the Magic, I
That
guess.
does suck. Yeah, that does suck that it was right after too, and everybody once he did that, everybody starts like, why is nobody talking about this guy? Like, dude's a number one pick overall for a reason, but nobody's kind of really talked about him. And they were looking good too when he was healthy. I know they dropped off a little bit since, but like you're talking about a team that made the playoffs last year,
Yeah.
and nobody really saw that coming. And you would just hope that they can improve
Well,
off of
it's
that.
the
So,
East. Anybody can make the playoffs. Come on now.
Eee.
But I mean, they're a good team, and the team that won the whole Easter Conference and the playoffs and the championship, the Celtics. So they end up beating the Hornets 124 to 109. Big story about this. Grant Williams, huh? He's looking like the villain that
hmm
nobody likes. He ends up shoulder checking Tatum and actually got a flagrant 2 foul. Got
Check.
ejected from that game.
hmm
Brown called him out. A lot of his former teams called that him out, but it was just kind of weird because that was your old team. I get that you left for more money, but at the same time, dude, why would you do? You know that
It
that's a
was
dirty
out of
play.
yeah, it was out of nowhere. Like there was no reason for it. I was talking to our buddy Sean about it, and he mentioned that there was like some video, and he showed it to me of him not dabbing up Jason Tatum's son or something, and then Tatum didn't dap him up after that as well. So that was like revenge for that or
Yeah,
something like that. But yeah, dirty play, and yeah, he's taking on that villain role. So okay, bud, but that was just so stupid. There's no place in the game for that. I think that's what Jalen Brown came out and said after that. So he's like, I
yeah,
thought we were buddies, but guess not. And yeah, he's
especially
a
on a
villain now,
fast
I
break.
guess. Yeah, right. Like, let's not do it. But some guys got to be the villain, and I know a guy that
Is a villain.
you definitely view as a villain.
He's definitely a villain. He's definitely scamming the 76ers. Mr. from Cameroon, from France, from the US, Embiid. Oh, Embiid. He's been having some storylines. First, he's getting technical fouls for waving a towel and doing the whole DX thing, and now him and some columnist. I don't know how to say that.
columnist,
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 columnist, a
columnist.
writer, basically.
Anyway, so he's called himself the villain. Just kidding. This columnist, actually, this writer wrote an article on Embiid in which he mentioned his late brother and his son, and Embiid was not too happy about it. He confronted this writer basically, and it escalated into a physical altercation where Joe Embiid pushed him, and it not a good look
Yeah.
for him. I just feel like sometimes these reporters will push buttons, like it happened with Diggs, and
Right.
they end up making up for it, and like that's what they do. They're supposed to push buttons. You're supposed to be a professional, and sometimes the emotions and things like this get the best of us, but like it's just not a good look for you. That's a private conversation to have elsewhere, and I think that some of these journalists or whatever you want to call them, they need to also have some sort of respect for these players. They're still human beings, and now this is public, and now he's being looked at as, obviously he is a villain, but this is another point where you're kind of pushing that button.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, the writers, columnists these days, media people, they're getting a little too confident in themselves, I guess.
Yeah,
Like doing the stuff they're doing is not quite okay, and then you put these athletes in a position where they're supposed to be, the ones that act right, but like at the same time, you're trying to push these buttons, so it kind of sucks. And but at the same time, you still can't do that as Embiid.
yeah,
And I know he's just getting frustrated. Like I read an article just before this it had come out where he was kind of defending himself, was mad at everybody else. Basically, he's like, we have a plan. This is what's best for what we believe is best for my health and the team, and so I can be prepared to be there for the team when I need to, when it counts. And he's like, I don't know why people are doing this. Basically, like, I've done so much for this city. I broke my face twice, came back with risk of losing my vision. Like, I'm doing everything I can for this city. I've loved this city, so I don't know why the F you're doing this, is what he said. And like, so I can understand, but at the same time, it's just a bad look. And like, they haven't come out with any official injury for him. And so like, that's where I think you've seen where, um, like they're being investigated for that. The Sixers are for, like basically illegal, um, injury, whatever you call it. I forget the term right now.
yeah.
It's
What is
escaping
even
me,
going
but
on with him? What's his injury?
it's really, that's the thing, is that they haven't
They
listed
haven't
one.
even
And
said it,
it's,
right?
yeah, it's basically they're really just trying to manage him. And honestly, it's kind of smart, but it also sucks because like, I don't know, you hear like, Charles Barkley and Shaq, they always talk about it, right? Like, especially Charles, he's like, we don't have a real job. We play a game for for a living, and we get paid millions of dollars for that. What if, heart surgeons, doctors, firefighters, teachers just said, "Oh, I need to take some time off so that I'm, better when there's more fires happening, or when there's a more important person that needs heart surgery or whatever." You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah,
so I definitely get that side. It's tough though because Embiid has had some sort of injury basically his entire career and in the playoffs. But it's just, and the other side too is us fans. Like, and you talk about especially like kids and stuff, man. When you think about it, like, so not everybody's in a great position where they have season tickets and can just go to every game. So like,
yeah,
and like even especially like when you know how you're a Thunder fan, so like you really want to see those Thunder games when they come to town, right? And when you go to these certain games, you want to see these certain players. And when they're resting that much, it's like, and especially when you don't even know if they're going to play or not, you're all excited to go see Joel Embiid. You're all excited to go see, whoever is like Kawhi Leonard, rest management or whatever it is. And then you don't get to see him. So,
yeah. No, 100%.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you just hope that he can get back to. I know that they do the no back to back games for him, and so it's just interesting because, like you said, you're an athlete. You're getting paid for it. Just do your job, man.
right.
We don't get to call in sick as many times as we want. So,
Exactly.
unfortunate situation here. And then his counterpartner, another scammer, Mister PG, Mister Push Off P, is finally
Hmm.
set to return.
Yeah.
Actually, he was set to return
He did
today.
return. Yep, he's so the Sixers are playing the Suns right now. They're down one at the end of the third, and He has played. He's got 19 minutes, shot 4 for 11, 14 points.
Mm.
So, having a decent game on his first game back.
Yeah, I mean, you hope that he can stay healthy and him and Embiid can do something because that pick and roll and pick and pop is going to be very crucial for them. That's why they
Mm-hmm.
went and got him. They believe in Paul George. I still don't like Paul George. Will always not like Paul George, and so you just hope that it goes well for him. But from villains to a good guy, Donovan Mitchell.
Yes,
Guy's
sir.
balling out. His Cavaliers are at the top of the East. He hits a game winner versus the bottom of the East, the Bucks. After uh, like Dame always does Dame stuff and doing
Same time.
Dame time. He hit a go ahead bucket with just 9 seconds left. Donovan Mitchell comes back, hits it, and he just acts like he's been there. He's been doing this. And
He
he's like,
has. It was
yeah,
crazy. I don't know if you saw that play, but he was like he almost lost the ball out of bounds on his own, and
yeah.
kind of had to turn around, make a lot of moves, and was able to, get the buzzer beater to, like you said, improve them to the top of the East. 8-0, man. Pretty surprising from the Cavs. I mean, we know they're good. We know they're a playoff team, but they're starting off hot, and if they can keep that going, get a higher seed, they might be someone to look out for to challenge Boston in the East.
And let's go ahead and just get into these standings, right? Like you have Cleveland at the top with 8-0, and then you have Boston at 7-1. Next closest team to either of those is the Miami Heat that are 3-3, so they're 4 games behind already. So I think that if these two teams continue to do what they're doing, I think that it's just going to get a lot worse for the East. The East is always like not very competitive. There's always one or two teams that just runs away with it, and so then you have the Knicks at 3-3. Towns is balling out, but they're still not having enough success with what they have over there, and so. And then you have the other New York team, the Brooklyn Nets, are 4-4.
It's
Um,
surprising to see them at the third seed. That's how much you say. Like they're clearly a rebuilding team, and they're third in the East right now. It's pretty, pretty self-explanatory for what you just said about what the Eastern
and I think
Conference
that
is.
they're finally able to get together with their actual players, whether hate to say it, but Mr. Ben Simmons.
What's he
Managed
doing?
Mr. Ben Simmons still being Ben Simmons. But he's finally like where he's back to like playing games and he seems like he's being more productive. I mean, it is the Nets, right? Like you're not going to expect a whole lot in them and so with them being in that fifth seed basically and kind of really being tied for that fourth, third, sixth, seventh seed, like they're all very close, right? And so not a whole lot happening, but they continue to get better and they're above 500. So that's really what matters. And then not above 500, but they're at
At
500. And then you
500.
have the Bulls at the sixth spot at 3-4. Suck. Giddy's not
take
doing
it.
them any good,
Take
but
this L, Boston
Crusoe is
or
doing really well for
Chicago.
us. And they just lost to the your boys, the Jazz. So,
Utah
and then
Jazz.
Mister, I still going with it. And then Mister Pablo, his team in the Magic
Pablo.
are seventh at three and
Hmm.
four, and then you're finishing on the top, the eighth spot with Atlanta being 3-5, which they're kind of a surprising team. I thought they would be doing a lot better. Thought that they added some. They they were trying to figure out if they were going to trade away Trey Young, and nope, they were like, we're going to build around him. They got the first round pick. He seems like he's actually balling out a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
overall, still the same. Pistons are kind of the same record with on the ninth spot, 3-5. So a lot of like missed opportunity down there. But then the top or the bottom three, Toronto going on full rebuild mode. They're 2-5. And then the two big surprises, and I love to see it, but also hate to see it.
Is it a
The
surprise for you though?
76ers, huh?
I said, is it a surprise for you though?
No, the 76ers 1-4. Um, and then the Bucks 1-6. 76ers,
Oof.
when you don't have your two starters, the two people that you pay the big bucks to and not playing, you tend to lose a lot of games. And then The Bucks, man, I don't know what's going on. I've seen some like rumors of like they're breaking down. There people are like, should they trade Giannis away to kind of not destroy his prime times? And I'm like, bring him to the Lakers, bring him to
Mhm.
the Thunder, baby. We'll do some magic with him. We have a ton of first round picks that you guys can. Oh my gosh, can you imagine him with him with Daddy Bronny, or I mean Daddy Braun, and or him with the Thunder?
Ooh, I don't know if him with the Thunder. You got so much going on right there, and he plays the same position as Shay Shay. So I think he'd be better for the Lakers.
Who Giannis?
Oh, I thought you said Dame.
No, 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 Giannis. But even then, I'll take Dame too. I'll take them two together.
There you
You
go.
could put Shea at number two, and I was talking about Giannis, but Giannis
Yeah,
being if he went to the Thunder, we have a ton of draft picks to give him to go
there you
for
go.
him. Like
Very, very
I
good.
don't think that
A
they
little
would do it,
experience.
but it's been surprising, man. I don't know what's going on with them. It just seems like that nothing is really clicking. They're 1-4 on the road, and then 0-2 at home. So
Tough luck, man, especially for a team when you trade for Dame. That's a championship or bust type of trade. So, and it has not worked out ever since. But honestly, probably because Doc Rivers is their head coach. So,
hey, I
that's
truly 100% contribute their lack of success to Doc Rivers.
oh yeah,
I think that everybody just remembers his Boston days. He sucked as a coach at the
but even
Clippers.
then, like
He
he won the one championship, and then Boston really wasn't like close after that. You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they had a good run from 2008, 2000 to 2010, 12. Like, I
Hmm.
remember the Lakers and the Celtic rivalry at that time was just super, like, and so it's just to me, that was his only time that he's ever shined. But, like,
Yeah.
he's not working, dude. They look so stupid right now firing Mike, what's his name? Mike
Oh,
Bosenhower?
Budenholzer. And
Yeah.
then they fired Adrian Griffin when they were at the one seed in
They
the
were
middle of the season, like
winning.
30 games in. Yeah. And we've talked about that ad nauseum. It's the hot button for both of us, man. But yeah, I don't know how the Bucks can.
I truly contribute that to him, and then the 76ers being 1-4, I truly contribute to Mr.
Embiid.
Embiid and Mr. Paul George not playing. So we'll have to see if they can turn their season around as the
Yeah.
season progresses.
I'm sure they'll make the playoffs. This is going to be a tough thing. But as the games go on, it's a long season. You'll see them. But the 7 games in, I mean, that's still a big chunk, and it's going to be something that's going to be hard to overcome, especially when you look at seeding and stuff
Right.
down the roads. Oh, all right, let's finish it out with just one more time, and then we can stop talking about this sport that we know nothing about. But the World Series ended this past week, so we got to talk about a guy who's been balling out for the Dodgers, Freddie Freeman. Man, he set a record of 4 straight World Series games with a homer, and then dating back to the last time I think he was with the Braves or something, a couple of years before that, in his last 2 games in that World Series, he hit a home run. So it was like 6 straight for him. But yeah, he balls out. But your Yankees are able to stay alive, force a game 5 after losing game 3. But I even heard that like the Dodgers kind of knew they might lose this game because they went to their bullpen for pitching a lot, and they didn't have any of their like big guys. So I think the big storyline. I don't know if you saw this, but a fan tried to literally steal Mookie Betts' glove off of his hand, dude.
Yeah.
He's fucking Yankees fans. Apparently, he's a friend of Rob Gronkowski. Rob came out and said he knows the guy who went to college with him and stuff. But can't have that, man. That's fucking terrible. And I think that he the Yankees were going to let him come back, but he got kicked out for that night. Yankees were going to let him come back, but then the MLB stepped in and like, no, dude, you got to kick him out.
Yeah, I
But
remember
yeah,
they donated his tickets to a pediatric
I
cancer
saw that.
patient or
Yeah,
something like that. So that was kind of cool that they were able to give that experience to that kid and their family. So well deserved. I mean, if you're gonna act like that and trying to do stupid stuff like that, you definitely deserve to be banned. You deserve to have everything that's coming at you come at you. So
100%. Well, then we'll get into game 5 and continuing to look good for your Yankees, man. Event finally Aaron Judge gets his homer. He's been, struggling big time in the playoffs overall, and especially in this World Series.
Yeah.
And then the very next at bat, they get another homer, go up
Okay.
5-0. But then the fifth inning comes, and you have Aaron Judge who makes his first error of the playoffs, I believe, and they have multiple errors in that inning. Dodgers tie it up 5-5 before they end up pulling it away, get the World Series win 7-6 in that game, get the Dodgers 4-1 World Series win. They are champs again. Shohei Ohtani gets his first ring. It's awesome to see that. And yeah, overall, I think that baseball's just kind of going more. I find myself a little more interested. I think, like we talked about, like the pitch clock and the new rules and stuff, a lot of the baseball purists don't like it, but I think it's better for just average fans and getting people into the game more. So love to
Yeah.
see this and love to see guys like Shohei Ohtani in the World Series, because like when he was on the Angels for however long, but they still sucked so bad they had never had a chance. Like those are the guys you want to see. So congrats to the Dodgers and their World Series champs. And we don't have to talk about baseball for another year.
100%. I mean, couple Bo, oh, Mookie Betts kind of talking about it in the he has 3 rings. He was trying to fill up his whole hand. That was kind of cool. I like Mookie Betts. Brooklyn's a big
One
fan
with
of
the
Mookie
Red
Betts.
Sox.
So,
Yep.
and then, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I think that there's going to be a lot of off-season stuff that's going to happen for the Yankees. It's, I
Who
think
was
they
it?
already
Juan
secured Cole.
Soto?
Huh?
Was it Juan Soto or George
Yeah,
Stanton
Soto
that's
is
going to be
the
leaving
he's already got
probably?
an offer from the Mets for I think 600 and something $1 million
Ooh.
for 8 years. So it's just his first offer. I think the Yankees are probably gonna let him walk just because they don't want to spend the money, which is probably gonna be one of the dumbest things that they do. But I'm not like I said, we don't follow baseball enough. I just follow the off season more than I do the games and stuff.
Even the
There's just so
games.
many. So hard to follow
180
it.
something games, man. How
Yeah.
do you?
So I mean, good for the Dodgers. I think that they deserved it as much as they did. They spent all the money to get out to where they are. So, and it's for a better ending for them.
There we go, right? Well, that's another edition of the NBA Roundup. Hopefully next week we can just keep it NBA unless anything else crazy happens. But thank you guys for joining us for another episode of your favorite couch potatoes. Make sure to check out all the episodes on YouTube and Spotify. They drop every Thursday morning, get you ready for the football week and keep you updated on what is happening around the NBA. And then be sure to check us out on the socials. Like we keep saying, keep a close eye on it because something's coming.
Sir.
And yeah, so make sure to check those out on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts. And then, other than that, till next time, we'll catch you on the couch. See ya.